Good evening, everybody. This is the third round of the FS1 2024 campaign. The clocks have moved forward for myself at the very least, and it is the month of April, so yeah, the Suzuka International Racing Course moves further forward in our calendar compared to last season. So we're looking forward to a very, very exciting evening worth of racing. My name is Eoin Harmon, and alongside me once again, it's Ed Hunter. Ed, how are you getting on?
Oh, good, thanks. It's always great to be back for FS1, and as Suzuka, such a challenging circuit as well, with lots of technical twisty stuff, but also some of the more long flowing corners, so we should expect plenty of action, and starting of course with a very, very close qualifying session, if the season so far has been anything to go by, because 2 races so far, 2 different pole sitters of course, in the form of Ivanov and of course this man, I believe, Isaac Clarke for Pixelate. There we go. That was about 50-50 whether it was going to be Clark's name or his teammate at the bottom there, so that paid off. But anyway, it was a very, very impressive qualifying performance from Isaac Clark, the American, last time out. But unfortunately, his race didn't last too long with that spin at the very, very first corner, putting him into the wall and knocking off his rear wing. So he'll be very, very keen not to let that happen again, of course. Isaac Clark very much up against it in the first couple of races because he had that disconnection and, well, it wasn't disconnection, it was internet was acting up and then he crashed out at Melbourne, wasn't it? As we see Ivanov, oh, that's definitely a marker laid down there, 135.299.
And his substitute teammate, of all the substitutes you could find, Szymon Frelick is an absolute steal for MS Performance, coming in as the runner-up in last season's championship to his own teammate, of course, the TOP duo. Almost dominated the entire season, but alas, there were a few hiccups. So Frelick getting back in the swing of things here in FS1, lining up behind his teammate for the day, even off. And Saracino just crossed the line there to go onto the second row in P4. So that's a great start for Grafone. And of course, with 2 rounds down, we have a better idea of our championship because the opening round of Australia, a lot of variables took part there. But now, yeah, we do see Ivanov and Quint are the strong duo with 2 podiums each. But of course, Tylene, perhaps after Australia, there was a bit of encouragement, but to go third and first with the double podium, that was absolutely exceptional. So Tylene in with a shout. And of course, Harry Smith there in third place on the grid so far. He has been very consistent with a third and a second, one in each race 2 in Saudi and Australia. So if you get a hat-trick today, that would certainly announce him on the stage. And here's one of our other substitutes. It's Patrick Magnussen stepping in for Mirko Lucchini today. Let's see how he can get on with Alpha Delta equipment. Should be one of the more comfortable teams, having had so much experience here in the FS1 category. So he comes down our Casio triangle and merging to the inside to maximize his time. 16th place for him so far, Ed.
Yeah, Magnussen, of course, who was a runner-up to his teammate Tuomela in the KV86 Powerhouse in the FS2 round a couple of days ago, of course. But yeah, great to see Patrick getting another run in FS1, and quite, as you say, quite a few substitutes. We're seeing Tuomela himself in the Rookie Monsters filling in for Robin Milling, who's gone 8th fastest so far. So I think a lot of people are expecting quite a lot from Noah. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. As we look at Menno Klont there with Multivols GP, definitely in the hunt for the team's championship. Of course, their best result was when they won it in FS1 all the way back in 2011, and it's been a bit of a difficult wilderness years really for Multivols GP since, but they've slowly brought themselves back into credibility. Menno's certainly got lots of experience, and we know exactly how quick Mike Quint is, especially with that brilliant race he had with Ivanov in race 1 last time out in Saudi, where unfortunately Quint just lost it in the final couple of laps with a move that didn't quite pan out on the MS Performance car. But yeah, Menno has been quietly impressing with some top 10 finishes, maybe a couple just outside the top 10, but they still score points crucially. And down in 18th though, looks like the Multivols GPs don't quite have the raw pace here in qualifying at home.
No, perhaps not. There's still 8 minutes to go. So yeah, they may be thinking if they can't maximize the pace compared to what we're seeing from MS and NetRex, then perhaps they need to prioritize the race setup and try and find out if they're better off in the corners or in the straights to get their overtakes done. So yeah, it will be a dilemma if they can't quite gain those extra few rows that they need to compete. Ballas Becky's here will set his first time of the session. So these green bars are pretty much guaranteed as long as he completes a lap, and he does for P27, so he beats Dabrowski's time, but so far he will need to try again. And Luke Mitchell, another driver, looking for his first flying lap around Suzuka, so he's heading straight to 130R now. There you go, nice and smooth, hanging out on 6th gear, 272 kilometers per hour, and the hard braking right and left. Looks smooth to me, so we'll see if this can rise him up the order. as Lunark, of course, had success here last season. Unfortunately, in this case for Luke, it's only 16th.
Yeah, and Luke Mitchell, of course, coming off a very, very strong pair of races in Saudi, wasn't he? In the top 6 in both of them, of course. Did quite well to survive that chaotic reverse grid encounter. Well, pretty much third downwards, it was anyone's game, essentially. But yeah, Mitchell, of course, this is a happy hunting ground for him too. Last time he was here, he sealed that FS2 championship, of course. So him and Lunark very much on the crest of a bit of a wave at the moment. As we see Amari Watson jump Saracino for 4th position. So important for Netrex there to control the second row. So we got MS Performance, Netrex affiliated team owned by Harry Smith, logging out the front row. And then we got the factory Netrex just behind them, backing them up. So it's all coming up Netrex at the moment, Eoin.
My word, yeah, the other teams will be certainly encouraged to try and put a stop to that, because the two-sided coin getting all the rewards would be most frustrating for all the other teams. Of course, yeah, we still have under 6 minutes to go, so you can get another 2 very clean laps in if you decide to pit at the end of the first lap and go out again. Saracino down in sector 2 here, so you will need to pull out a fabulous run out after 130R, and the Casio Triangle decides, no, it's not worth my time, so I'll try again. Now Mike Quint, it's more encouraging here. He's on target hopefully for a 136 low. Oh, he's actually broken it. Very good. So 9th place for Mike Quint there, so he gets a 1 minute 35.9, but it's still a long way back from Ivanov and Freilich, who have absolutely laid the markers down and have been undisturbed so far. Rorschach here for Parallax Volpino. He'll be looking to get to the 135 threes, or perhaps into the 135 twos that the MS Performance team have set. So if he can get all the way down to the back straight just as the bridge, the crossover point. Let's see how he gets on the sector line, becoming up almost now. Here it comes. Could it be the 116, 117? Yeah, he's a little bit down, so he's lost a 10th overall. But he would have a chance to rescue that back and maybe overtake Russo for sixth position there. They have to be absolutely spot on if he decides to go for it in the last. He does not.
That was a late decision to pit there because he cut up a bit of grass on the entry. It's a very easy pit lane to get wrong as well, because you are sort of turning at the same time. So we see Sandra Van Sand hanging the rear of the 100 to 1 through spoon curve there. So definitely that car looking a little bit unbalanced and unstable through the vast corners. But it's the Belgian driver desperately trying to wring the neck of it, try and get Ben Constantine's car as high up the grid for that team as he can. But, it is interesting, yeah, because Ivanov was actually setting a purple first sector not too long ago as well. So it feels like there's even more pace in that car potentially as we cut to Bradley Sullers down in 24th. So he is about 1.5 seconds off the pace, but the top 20 are all within a second of each other. I think the really narrow part is going to be top 6, who are all within half a second.
Yeah, for sure. So that gaggle of drivers looking for the 11th to 15th range, they're all tightly packed in, and Isaac Clark will want to join them, and that wobble out of Spoon won't be too pleasant for him. So hopefully, that's a lot of time to overcome. So I will imagine he needs to be told, or he'll know himself, to abandon this lap and try for the final flyer coming up in the next 3 minutes. So yeah, he'll take the pit lane. I agree with that decision. So we have another chance to try and get closer to the top. And there's that gorgeous panning shot there for Noah Tuamela for Team Rookie Monsters, acting as a substitute. So another very good pickup for the rookie team to get this experience of Tuamela on board for the day. And he will need to find extra time. So again, can he pull it out? He can. So yes, a nice balanced lap, and he celebrates with a 540-degree spin. It's a nice job.
Yeah, not much time left. We see Watson and Saracino setting personal bests. Saracino set a 34.9, but Watson has beaten that with a 34.8 then. So very, very tight margins between the two. as there is Omari Watson. How dearly he would love to be ahead of Harry Smith. He did get on himself onto the front row in Melbourne, remember? And then he had to really fight his way through the pack in sort of both races in Saudi Arabia. They got a 2-3, didn't they, last time out in NetRex? So it definitely feels like Watson could put together a title bid, but he needs to keep those points, those podiums coming in, doesn't he, to facilitate that. And certainly the level of competition here. Saracino is only 1,000th behind him on the grid at the moment as he carries a little bit too much speed through the Casio Triangle, but somehow manages to save it. Towards the line he comes. He's going to be... Does Omari Watson stay where he is? Yes, he does. Oh, but only 1,000th behind Harry Smith now as Patrick Rosat nearly loses it through Dignity.
Yeah, that is incredible to have the two teammates separated by 1,000th of a second. Rorschach got it quite wild out of Degner too there, so it could be a tricky burden to overcome. Yeah, that's an enormous slide looking back on it there. So I don't know how he can retrieve that lap unless he's got something magical ready for us. But yeah, here's Smith now to try and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he is the better qualifier inside the NetRex camp. So far so good, but here comes the back straight now. A long run to 130R. Can he get another green on the tiny screen? No, he can't, but yeah, this is still an achievable lap time to solidify P3 for himself.
Only a 10 on the that middle sector, Eoin. So it's all or nothing then. A couple of corners to go. Remember, NetRex leading the team's championship over multiples GP by 3 points going into this. Harry Smith, is he going to stay third? Yes, he is.
Yeah, that's an improvement. So he does definitely spread out his wings against Amari. So well done to him. And here's Kings Racing with Oliver Taras acting as one of the two substitutes as Massimiliano Raboli takes charge of the 89 car. So here's Taras in the 29. And a top 10 result here would be brilliant for the Kings Racing team because in fairness to them, they've been able to pick up points in both rounds so far, but of course they're in the bottom half of the top 15, so 11th and 15th are their best results. So if Taras can put in this lap, he can get a third row start possibly and really give Kings Racing that impetus they need. So let's see how he gets on.
Yeah, while this is going on, Simon Frelich is just at 34.888, which is only marginally behind what Ivanov managed in the first sector. Then as Taras, though, goes 6th fastest. Brilliant from the British driver to jump Federico Russo then. Oh no, it's just behind Russo, isn't he? Because somebody else, Senna Stoffmeal, has got the Pixelate into the top 5. Brilliant stuff from the Belgian as Frelich abandons lap, that middle sector, just slightly behind Ivanov, so it wasn't going to be a pole lap there.
No, unfortunately not. So Ivanov, barring an incredible turnaround, has secured his second pole position of 2024. Thailand, the winner back in Saudi, gets a much improved time there. He goes 7th and he rips up his bodywork and goes merry-go-round for his end of session.
Let's hope the race doesn't start that way for him.
No, definitely not, no. Looks like there are only 1 or 2 active cars on the grid, so I believe we have our lineup secured. Barring anyone else wanting to cross the line, but no, it looks official. So there we go. Ivanov starting as he means to go on with the second pole position in his first season in FS1. His substitute teammate, Shimon Frelich, absolutely brilliant for him to get straight back in the action with P2. Then we have the NetRex duo, 3rd and 4th. Smith beating Watson. Sene Stoffmeal for Pixelate there in 5th. Giuseppe Saracino, Lucas Thailand, Federico Russo, Oliver Taras, and Frank Hamming are the top 10. Followed up 11th to 15th in the points as of right now. Tuomela, Rorschach, the Multiforce duo with Clant ahead of Quint, and Matthias Zabinski. So yeah, he's 14th, and Luke Mitchell 15th. So nice job for them. Isaac Clark just missed out there, but he has a free tire choice, as do Sandro Van Sand, Massimiliano Raboli, Wopke Hoekstra, and I think Christopher Svillo is classified 20th, so we'll move on to the next page. There we go. Right on. It is Svillo on 20th, Magnussen 21st, Sellers, Moat, De Vries, Koenig, Van de Smissen, Scott, Beckies, Dabrowski, 21st through 29th, and then I believe that must be it then.
That's correct, Eoin. Only 29 drivers then.
Yes.
Also, a couple of penalties for a bit of housekeeping if you need it. Isaac Clarke has a 5-place grid penalty for a collision in race 1. So that's going to drop him instead of 16th. It's going to put him 21st, I think, on the grid. Charlie Jemison has a big grid penalty, but he's not here. And Federico Russo has a 10-place grid penalty from race 2 in Saudi last time out. So that means he will start 18th rather than 8th.
Yeah, makes sense. And now our warm-up session shall begin. Just nice and brief to dial in any last-minute changes for the race conditions. It will be a 26-lap feature race coming up, followed by the 18-lap sprint. With the sunny conditions here, they're absolutely beautiful rays of sunshine. At least the start of the session, maybe a bit cloudier now, but track temperature toasty 42 degrees Celsius. So yeah, the drivers will want to make sure they know everything about these conditions that they possibly can.
Indeed they will. For MS Performance, you've really got to feel that this is another brilliant opportunity for Ivanov to take his 3rd race 1 victory in a row. And there are a lot of people going into this season that maybe thought Ivanov would take a while to warm up to GPV, given that most of the experience was from other championships like FSR and others. But the Bulgarian's really he's really been able to adapt quickly, hasn't he, and get on top of this FS1 car in a very, very impressive way. And he's been able to mix it with all the top contenders who've been here significantly longer than him in some cases, and he's able to really make it look like he's been there forever. And that is the impressive thing. Simon Frelick, of course, great to have him back. But of course, I think with his other commitments with work and education has sort of sidelined him from doing a full season, but great to have him here for a one-off. And potentially, if Ivanov makes a mistake, Frelick will definitely be there to take advantage and back him up.
Yeah, it's so valuable to have that backup when you know you have the priority in the team, at least in this early stage. It really should be Ivanov to get support. But of course, if Frelick has the opportunity to go for the win, then of course he'll be allowed to do so. That was really a huge boost to MS Performance, having just been brought into this series for the first time. So that is one of the best starts you could imagine for the team. Of course, Netrex with that alliance, of course, they'll want to put a stop to that. They'll want to prove that their balanced lineup of Watson and Smith will perform the best over the long term. So yeah, there are plenty of fascinating insights to look forward to in this race. Yeah, of course, the fact that this track just has so many great memories, whether it be in real life or in GPVWC. There's a chance for all kinds of drivers, I'm sure, that they know this track very well, to come out and have a great early.
Yeah, I think Stoffmeal is probably the big standout with that lap to 5th place in terms of everyone else. But in terms of the team's championship, remember, MS Performance only 20 points behind Netrex, and it's that man right behind them, Harry Smith, that effectively is the team owner there. So it could get a little bit interesting as see one of the rookie monsters has come to a stop at the exit of Digna 2 there, but that won't bother anyone too much in the warm-up. For Giuseppe Saracino, it's interesting because he performed very, very well at Melbourne, and then I think he said the excuse that we got was that he was late coming in from work, so had to miss race 1 in Saudi. He came for the back of the grid in race 2 and then just missed out on the final point there, so he's 7th in the points at the moment after finishing P2 and P8 in Melbourne. So I think Saracino could be one to watch then, just outside the 4 Netrex cars in inverted commas, essentially. I think he could be the main threat to them today.
Yeah, I like that shout. Of course, yeah, I said it pre-season, the KKR team were the pairing that I liked the most, and indeed Tylene brought that to the fore in Jeddah. A little bit harder for the two of them today, but yeah, they're certainly well in contention for battles up the grid. And of course, yeah, our first representative times are coming in, so we'll see how the strategies differ up and down the grid. 138.1 for Freilich is the quickest so far, a second clear of Bradley Sellers, but yeah, we can't really deduce too much out of the exact pace of the cars in this warm-up. So a lot of drivers just want to do race sims, and others may just want to get 2 or 3 laps on a particular compound just to see where they can take it in a full pace run, I suppose. So I don't know exactly if how many drivers want to run the full warm-up session while there's still 5.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, very surreal seeing Simon Freilich in the MS Performance livery. It's arty kind of aesthetic, especially because that car always seems to have the wrong name of the driver on the side, because it said Rietveld's name in the first race when we had Savily in the car, and then Savily did one race with the right name on it, and now it's Freilich in Savily's car essentially, which is slightly confusing, but it's nice. It's a very mid 2000s McLaren sort of livery design to have the name in big bold letters on the side. I think Hispania Racing Team did something similar, didn't they, as well?
Correct, yes.
They also had a Your Name Here, I think, livery as well when they were seeking sponsorship, which I don't think is the case at MS Performance.
Oh.
But anyway, there was some interesting comments in the chat. Joshua Dexter says, looking forward to another non-controversial race. I think that's leading on from FS2. Sadly, some of my drivers were involved in some of the controversy, unfortunately, as in causing and victims of certain incidents. Piskazan says Magnussen still has his 30 place grid penalty from Spa. I'm assuming Matthias Piskazan is referring to FS2 last season. Obviously, because there aren't 30 slots on the grid in FS2 last year, so I think he would have still had to serve that one. But it was a different category, so it doesn't really apply to FS1 anyway. Patrick Magnussen, I think, is saying, did nobody notice I qualified on hard? I did notice that he did something there, but I thought he was just doing the first lap on hard and then switched to softs afterwards, like everyone else did. So I saw 2 drivers on hard, and one of them was Patrick Magnussen, certainly in the Alpha Limited.
Yeah, I'll put my hand up and say I did not notice that, so I'm sorry to Patrick. I'll be more observant. Oh, getting a little bit loose there before.
It's not the noticing, he wants you to praise him for doing it on the stream. That's
yeah.
Not enough just to notice it.
Sure.
To be different.
Yeah, well, thankfully we didn't see him lose control of the car on the curbs out of 130R. So he set the 14th best time, which is the bottom of the list of time so far. But of course, yeah, a fair amount of other drivers will be coming in with late laps.
And I'm mistaken, by the way, because Matthias Piskazan clarifies he got a 30 place grid penalty. Did Patrick Magnussen? No, not Magnussen. It was so many drivers. Yeah, it was Magnussen. Sorry, yeah. For causing a massive pileup in Spa FS1 2023 race 1. So he wouldn't have been able to serve it mid-event because he was a substitute driver. He hasn't been back since then, so it's quite likely that penalty from last year will probably carry over if GPV are going to be strict about it. But, you know, they might let bygones be bygones and let him start in 18th or wherever it was he qualified.
Yeah, I'd imagine, yeah, there would be there'd be certainly a statute of limitation that would say that he hasn't been gone for so long. He's only been gone a few months, so yeah. I'd imagine. Oh, in the background there, big wide Degner 2.
That might be Luke Mitchell there.
Yeah, it's certainly a scary one to go backwards into the wall there. Hopefully he can restart and just compose himself for the race.
Yeah, Degner's is such a tricky section of the track because essentially you've got that outside curb that acts like a gully, essentially. So if you go a little bit too wide, the underneath of the car sort of becomes like a skateboard, doesn't it? You end up just going straight on and understeering into the gravel. Or in that case, the rear tyres hit the gravel first, and you saw the Lunart going in backwards because the front still had grip, but the rear had zero grip.
Yeah, absolutely. Now we'll take a look at Archie Mott here. Of course, the 100 to 1 team have not seen the checkered flag so far this season with either of their cars. So that is definitely the task at hand, just to build a bit of confidence among the team and get a factor of at least one car finishing a race today. That should be the target. And then they can start to raise the stakes a little bit as the calendar expands. So yeah, at the moment, Archie should be hopefully dialing in a good setup and hopefully seeing the full event, at least one of them. So hopefully it will go to plan for 100 to 1.
Yeah, they're a bit unlucky, as the team name sort of suggests. The odds have not really been in their favour. And it's sort of stemmed from not qualifying especially well. They tend to get into incidents, and yeah, they did crashes happen in front of them. If you saw some of the footage from Saudi that Archie and Sandro were posting, it was literally just as we see just lose the rear end coming out of the hairpin, and into the wall he goes. But it was a good qualifying for his teammate Sandro Van Zandt, wasn't it? P17, which is their highest of the season so far, and I think with the grid penalties they might actually be starting P16 just outside the point. So big opportunity for Sandro Van Zandt. For Archie Moat, I think he'll just be trying to get to the end this time, because he's had probably the worst luck of any driver in this championship. So with he's not got quite as much experience as Sandro as well at this sort of level. He's basically only done academy up to now, so it's all a big learning curve for him. But to be fair, he's not done too badly. Essentially, if Archie could have a clean race, he could probably sneak a point or two.
Yeah, I can certainly imagine that. But Netrex have, I suppose in inverted commas, they've won the warm-up session with the first and second. Watson's time of 137.956. Menno Klont, P3 time there. He's going to do a practice start to make his preparation complete. So you just wait his moments and get going. A little bit of raw there, you don't want that at the start. Let's see if he just wants to settle in and make absolutely sure. I believe that was Mike Quint, I think, who passed him by there. So yeah, get that start as it needs to be. Menno.
Just a comment in the chat from, I'm not sure what this is in response to. It might have been something that I said. But Yasse Latinen says, get real. I hope that's not in response to me saying Archie Moat could score a point, because I think that's a bit harsh on poor Archie there from Yasse Latinen, who himself has only got a couple of points finishes in FS1 to his name. Good driver though, Yasse Latinen, of course. So, I mean, he certainly feels a bit wrong to judge other drivers when you're not competing in the race yourself. I would say, if you think you're better than them, beat them is my motto. But yeah, I'm certainly gonna be cheering Archie on a little bit. Always love the underdogs.
Yeah, and Suzuka can be a place of the underdog if it all goes to plan. But of course, yeah, this is a driver's dream circuit in many regards. Just so many fantastic corners, and of course the various straights can lead to a lot of opportunities. But of course, our grid will form up in just a moment, so the opportunities to prove who is truly the best around Suzuka will be found out in just a moment's time. Hopefully, yeah, nice and varied grid coming. So with the 30 grid slots, or 29 grid slots to be filled, maybe do have a last minute joiner. So they have the 30th name on my screen at least. So hopefully they'll be allowed onto the grid. So there we go. That looks like just one or two more vehicles need to come in, and then we'll be ready to go.
Yeah, Dabrowski, I think, is definitely the last car, so it might have just been that he got disconnected in the middle of qualifying there.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting, though. Our second place team in the championship, 12th and 13th on the grid, with Klont ahead of his teammate Mike Quinn, who's got second in the points. So I wonder how Multiforce are going to make it through the pack, because surely they've got a sort of plan here, and I think it's similar for Frank Hammond in ninth. All three of those drivers pretty good at cutting their way through the field. Mike Quinn certainly has made a bit of a habit of it this season, so I wouldn't count them out from getting themselves in a good position for race 2 especially.
Yeah, that is definitely the target, I'm sure, but MS and Netrex. We'll see what their qualifying supremacy can deliver in race trim. So we will head to our formation lap summary as we head into the Degners. And there we go, we're watching pole sitter Viktor Ivanov prepare his tires and other bits and bobs. So there we go, the 1-2 Ivanov ahead of substitution Shimon Frelich there with the opportunity to return to FS1 competition. Harry Smith and Watson, of course, there, third and fourth. Sene Stoffmeal in fifth, ahead of Saracino. We have Tylene and Taras. Top 10 is completed by Frank Hamming and promoted up a place Noah Tuamela, followed by Patrick Roshak and the first of the Malta forces, Menno Klont. Mike Quint in 13th position, ahead of Matthias Zubinski. And then in 15th, it's Luke Mitchell, followed by Sandro Van Sant. So there you go, that 100-to-1 car is just on the edge of a point. And we have Federico Russo, Massimiliano Raboli, Wopke Hoekstra, and Christer Svillo completing the top 20. Isaac Clark, Patrick Magnussen, Bradley Sellers, and Archie Moat, 21st through 24th. David De Vries, Philip Koenig, Justin van der Smissen, and Daniel Scott with BMS Sun Edits there, back-to-back 25th and 27th. And Balas Bekis and Matthews Dabrowski complete our grid. So there we go, our pole sitter is lined up, and we just have to have the remainder of the participants in their slots. So we're almost ready to go, Ed. Any last-minute thoughts?
Yeah, I think the Netrex teams and MS are ideally going to try and control things from the front, but I think there could be a great battle if Stoffmeal or Saracino or perhaps the likes of Filing can break in. Great to see Filing and Taras, who are at the top in FS2, really mixing it with the big boys in FS1. Of course, Filing already a winner this year, but plenty could happen, and I think the strategy here will be interesting as well, whether Netrex follow MS or whether they do something a bit different here.
Yeah, and now our race control for the red lights. Here they come. 3, 4, and the 5th. Here we go. The hold is moderate, and they're away. Watching out for the teammates. So Ivanov on the high line, you should be able to control the turn in for the first turn. There we go. Smith and Watson in behind need to cooperate, and it looks like they certainly have. And a bit of dust kicked up there. It looks okay. Everyone should be roughly in position to carry on through the S curves. It is indeed a very stable top 5. Tylene and Hamming, I think, have made some gains. Saracino down a few places, and Roshak in the top 10.
Yep, and sadly for Archie Moat and 100-to-1, he jumped the start and immediately got a penalty there. So down in 24th, he's already down to 27th actually from where he started on the grid. So Archie really up against it, and I think 100-to-1. Ben Constantine said just before the race started, odds are I think we're going to get our first finish today. So let's hope that happens for Ben Constantine's first checkered flag incoming, he said, as we look at Tuomela sizing up Mike Quint in front of him. So Quint has held station behind Menno Klont. So everyone in the top 14 on the softs. Luke Mitchell, highest of those on the medium hard tyres.
Yeah, now we have the timing tower confirming that fact. So yeah, the hard tyre should be able to make it to the very end of the race. Maybe a couple of laps, you might want to switch to the softs and push on, as other drivers have to pit. Those soft tyres should be making a 50% distance, or perhaps a bit below it. But unfortunately, as we watch Luke Mitchell, Bradley Sellers is out. He's classified as DNF. So one retirement after the first lap. And there's a battle just in 20th position, I think, Magnussen.
Ooh, and Clark gets past Van Sant for 16th, so important move for the Pixel 8 driver. So Clark having a slightly cleaner start to the race than last time out in race 1 at Saudi Arabia, as we look at Magnussen, who not have to serve that 30 place grid penalty, so it seems to have been erased from the record as the new season started, especially because it was a substitute driver. But I guess if he had been used again in 2023, he would have had to serve the penalty. But anyway, down in 21st at the moment, holding off David De Vries, but Chris Svillo has just got past him.
Yeah, that was what I saw in the background. So great pass from Svillo even before DRS is enabled. Now we're back to our top 4 battle, even off holding half a second's worth of advantage over his temporary teammate. And Smith so far looking to perhaps put the pressure onto Freilich. The very much experienced FS1 competitor, having of course taken a step up in 2024. He's back for this one time appearance as far as I'm aware, to 130R for the second time. And of course, yeah, Freilich with that slipstream boost, he's going to get very close. Tommy Tower confirming Hamming +2 positions, Saracino -3, Zabinski +3, and Tuamela unfortunately has lost 4 places. Isaac Clark very quick off the line with +5, and Dabrowski of course has gone from 30th to 24th.
Interesting on lap 2 there. Stoffmeal sets fastest lap, 138.299. Purple middle sector, Harry Smith fastest in the first sector, and Eoin fastest in the final sector as well. So they all seem pretty evenly matched in the different parts of the Suzuka circuit, but Stoffmeal is the only sort of one not part of the NetRex game plan, as it were. So he could really spoil the party here, and Omari Watson has got to have his wits about him here, because if Stoffmeal starts picking them off one by one, then they've got a real problem as this race goes on. And look at Harry Smith trying to get a push on, trying to stay with Simon Freilich.
Exactly, yeah, he's got to find the balance between the straight lines and the corners to make sure he doesn't lose track of Freilich, because if those MS Performance drivers break the DRS second deficit, then yeah, they'll be in a mighty position. But Menno Plant here wants to make a pass on Zabinski, getting extremely close to the last ditch pass, but of course, yeah, Zabinski had that covered. There's no contact, so they'll push on this back straight, heading towards the crossover point. And yeah, as of right now, it is a tactical game. Everyone is waiting for their opportunity.
Look at how much quicker the Multiforce is down the straights than the Hyperion. And sorry to interrupt there, but that's what's getting Menno so close, but can't quite do the job in the corners then. As Ivanov across the line sets a fast lap the race for himself this time by setting 2 purple sectors there. So he's starting to just pull a little gap on Freilich, as here comes Menno Plant into turn 1.
Taking the inside line, and yes, beautiful move. Zabinski had to tap on the brakes there to keep himself in the race, and now he'll be backing up Mike Quint for the moment here in the S's. Noah Tuamela, of course, he's on a charge for P14 now, and he wants to try and regain some of those dropped positions. He wants to use those soft tires as best he can, as of course everyone else behind are on the alt strategy all the way down to his to Svillo in 20th. So yeah, this is crucial moments in this feature race, and towards the hairpin they go. No real overtaking opportunities, albeit Tuamela, he poked and had a look, but there was no opening.
I think there was a potential accident opportunity if Tuamela wasn't careful there, but yeah, it is impressive to see him running this far up in the points in 14th. Of course, as those softs start to wear, Luke Mitchell and Isaac Clark on the hards are going to become a bit of a factor as the stint wears on. And sadly for 100 to 1, after all that encouragement we were giving to Archie Moat, he's unfortunately didn't get even deserve that penalty for jumping the start. He's already out the race. So all hopes rest with Sandro Van Sand, who is 1.4 seconds behind Clark, as here comes Quinn up the inside of the Casio Triangle, has to back out at the last minute there. As Zabinski is really the fly in the ointment here for Multiforce GP, just holding Mike Quinn up now.
Maybe it won't be a second opportunity to block him, so he's going to wait and wait before pulling out to the inside line. So deja vu there for Matthews. He's lost the same inside line to the same team back to back. So now the job is for Menno, using the open air he's got so far, 2.5 seconds back on interval against Patrick Roszak. He's got to lead the way now, keep Mike Quint nice and close without, of course, any risk of a counter-attack for Zabinski. As they head to the first Degner now. There we go, you can see the gap has certainly split between the top 10 and those beneath. So So, yeah, there you go. There's that huge deficit that Menno needs to make up. It's certainly possible, as Saracino versus Rorschach will be a ding-dong battle, unless, of course, Saracino's just broken clear, but that's not the case at the moment.
Yeah, Saracino looking closer to Taras than to Patrick Rozak. But Rozak was looking pretty quick down the straights earlier, so certainly some of the teams going for straight line speed and others going for a bit more higher cornering speed, essentially. So Suzuka, it's always a little bit of a trade-off because you do want to make sure when you open that DRS you can make the moves, be it on the run into 130R or down the start-finish straight into the first corner, especially if you can get a good exit out of Casio Triangle, which Saracino attempts to do, and it's pretty even between himself and Taras, of course. Taras, who has been impressing quietly in FS2 and the previous season, as well as in Academy as well, where he won a few races, if I remember correctly. So the Englishman certainly doing the business, as Zabinski has been overtaken around the outside by Tuomela then into turn 1. So the DRS coming into effect, and the Hyperion feels like it's a bit of a sitting duck at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately so. He'll be looking for a bit of advice if he can get it, as he is the lead Hyperion at the moment, so he'll need to know what he needs to do differently to keep up with these soft tire runners while he's sharing that compound with them. And of course he needs to stay away from Luke Mitchell while these tires should be at their prime performance. Wopke Hoekstra here, one such example of a driver on the harder compound. He's made a good start so far in this race ahead of Massimiliano Raboli. He's trying to chase down that 100 to 1 of Van Sand. So this is a very important battle up and down the grid and the championship order, whichever way you want to look at it.
Yeah, the minute that, by the way, that you said that Matthias Zabinski could do with some advice here, his teammate Matthias Dabrowski retired from the race, literally as you said that mid-sentence, so that was a bit unfortunate. I guess Dabrowski's got plenty of time now, as Saracino right on the back of Taras has a little look into the Casio Triangle, but the Griffon car cannot quite get the overlap that he needs, and this is bringing Rozak back into frame then. 20 laps to go, and Saracino desperately needs to make up places here, needs to get his title hunt back on track.
Exactly. At the moment,
Van Sand in trouble.
Is he? I don't know. Yeah, he's dropped positions.
And wide from Taras.
At this race, yeah, it was looking pretty stable for each of the drivers. Now the mistakes are definitely creeping in. Apart from those, of course, who've already DNF'd. So yeah, it's now time. Yeah, gotta watch out for that inside line there.
I wonder if he's spun it at 130R potentially.
Could have. We need to confirm that when we can. Vander Smith's in trouble. He's taking the pits. Yeah, he's taking the pits. So Vander Smith's in pits very early on. So could that be alternate strategy, or is he trying to repair some damage?
Yeah, they didn't qualify particularly well, did they? Seems like a routine, fairly quick stop then. So Vander Smith's in, trying to get a pit stop in, I think, before he gets lapped, if anything else, because he doesn't want to have to let all the leaders through, essentially. So on to, is that the harder tyres there?
Correct, yes.
So Vander Smith's trying to go to the end, surely, with 19 laps to go.
Yeah, I would want to pit again if I can avoid it. Ability to push on for the moment in the clear air should give him the motivation for the moment. Here we go with the Monteforce pairing. Could be the chance for
Rozak about to pass Taras in front of them as well in the battle for ninth. Here we go, good straight line speed from the Parallax Volpino, and he's through as they're doing a swap. Mike Quinn takes the 11th place off of Menno Klont there, so no resistance from his Dutch teammate there, because I think the idea was Menno was going to drag him along with the DRS, but Menno didn't quite have the raw pace, so they decided to swap, put Mike Quinn to the 4, and now Menno's got to hold off Tuomela behind him.
Yeah, exactly. Tuomela prevented any sort of red carpet treatment there, so keep him nice and close to the Multiforce pair. They had to make a dash for the switch, and Mike Quinn now he's pulling away, trying to close down Oliver Taras for a 10th position. It's going to perhaps take 2 more laps at the very least to pull that off, but Taras's job will be to keep up with Rorschach and get these points in the pocket for King's Racing.
Yeah, you could tell a little bit the setup there, maybe a bit of inexperience creeping in for Taras, of course. Kings are in that sort of situation where Mitchell Marm and Jack Nichols are just not always around, essentially, so they're going to have to be reliant on drivers like Taras and Riboli to sort of pitch in when they can. Riboli doing a solid job behind Hookster at the moment in 18th, as Mike Quint using that DRS on the start finish straight, and his teammate has set a purple first sector and a personal best middle sector too, so Mike Quint starting to really up his pace to try and challenge Taras. Meanwhile, up front, Frelick has actually got the gap down to Ivanov on this lap, 4 tenths, so he was 3 tenths faster on this lap, so maybe on lap 8 the softs are starting to fade a bit.
Yeah, it could be the time to go a bit easier on them to compete with potential undercuts in a few moments. Yeah, of course, Harry Smith has not let Frelick out of his sight whatsoever.
Look at Offmeal, he's dropped back. He was right behind Omari Watson, now he's 1.3 seconds behind. So it looks like a small mistake from the Pixel 8 driver. Yeah, there he is. Oh, just about saves the back end through Tegna 1.
Yeah, cutting up some sparks there, and yeah, he will have to try and settle down again to make sure he doesn't lose time to Tylene, who has been nice and solid there in 6th position. Hasn't put a foot wrong so far.
Yeah, personal best lap for Mike Quint, 1:38.5. So he's lapping faster than any of the leaders. That puts him 1.5 seconds behind Taras then. Taras, though, still getting DRS from the back of Rozak, though. So Mike Quint's got a pretty tricky job as the tyres start to fade to try and make sure he's in the sort of window to sort of gain ground here. Maybe Motorforce might gamble with an early stop to try and get into the top 10 here.
They could, yeah. But of course, yeah, the job should be to get the double point score as close to the reverse grid draw as they can. Perhaps their number will appear in the draw. Yeah, 11th and 12th is not what they're thinking of.
Oh, look at Watson there.
Oh,
yeah,
Watson. Yeah, he's closing in on his teammate there. So, yeah, great.
Yeah, Harry's dropped 1.2 seconds behind Simon, hasn't he? So
yes.
they start to fight each other. They're losing time. This is not good for Networks.
Not at all. They'll have some thinking to do. Losing that DRS benefits.
Harry Smith is, of course, ahead in the championship, isn't he? So he's not obligated to let Watson through here because technically he's in the better position. He's about 5 points ahead of him.
Yeah, it all came down to that Melbourne race 2. That's podium for Smith, came to the most crucial points, and of course podiuming again in Saudi really did boost him. I have to think about it because sometimes, yeah, the driver behind in the championship may have the better race car on the particular day or the event. So yeah, it could be a thinking point where Smith has to concede for this one at the moment. Maybe he can get the position back later. Down the back straight comes Frank Hamming in the tow of Tylene with Saracino right behind, and Rorschach never too far away himself. There you go, there's the Parallax Volpino. Oh, down the inside goes Hamming.
Ireland left the door open there, didn't he? And Frank Hamming didn't need to be asked twice, as into the pits comes Stoffmeal, I think. No, it's Harry Smith, sorry.
Yeah.
And Stoffmeal.
Yeah, the two of them. So this is very interesting, to say the least. So that maybe helps the Netrex dilemma out a little bit. So we'll see what the job is. It should be a natural switch to the harder compound. Gotta make sure it's a quick stop to prevent any leapfrogging from Stoffmeal. That looks good. And indeed, Rorschach took the new tyres on himself, as did Menno Plant.
Oh dear, looks like Sander Van Sant has made it another race where both 100-to-1s retired in. So the search for a finish continues for Ben Constantine. Hopefully race 2 goes a little bit better for them, because their season has it's not been the most glorious of debuts for them in FS1. But still, there's still hope, and Sam Van Sant at least showed some good pace today. So there's still another race to take advantage of that. Meanwhile, Luke Mitchell, this is really where he needs to start making moves, and making them is what he's doing at the moment, because Zabinski just has no traction on those worn softs. So the hards coming into their own. Isaac Clark looking to strike behind as well.
Yeah, exactly. This is a chance now for Clark and indeed Mitchell to get on with their strategies for today. Push on for the next 5 or 6 laps to punish any of those drivers who've overcooked their soft tires. Here we go into 130R. So watching very narrow. Oh, that was
and
so
Frelick pits. Frelick pits from second, so he's going to get an undercut on Ivanov. This is really interesting. As Zabinski just desperately defending for the Casio Triangle, but he's got no grip. Into the pits he comes. Through go Mitchell and Clark.
And Mitchell, I'm sure, will be gutted as he didn't get a proper run, and that could allow Clark into an attacking opportunity. And a matter of fact, it does occur. So Clark will be beaming with that opportunism and making that opportunity count. So there we go. Disappointment, to say the least, for Mitchell.
I wonder if this is a long stop for Simon.
Oh, there he goes. He's off.
Oh,
Yes.
Mitchell.
Oh, thank goodness he caught it.
Yeah, but even on the hards, having made that move, he just lost it through the S's there, didn't he? So that was really, really unfortunate. But clearly he was a bit annoyed that Isaac Clark got the better of him. But that was good racecraft from Isaac Clark. Saw that Luke Mitchell was being held up there by the car in front of him that was on those worn soft tyres. So only Quint, Watson and Ivanov yet to pit then. So I wonder what happened to Frelick though, because he's come out behind Tuomela in 18th position. So was there potentially some damage or something went wrong at the pit stop that had to be resolved there? And that's really backfired, because now he's got a lot of work to do to try and gain places here. Harry Smith in 9th though, looking in the box seats right now.
Yeah, so Smith has he's done the best job of anyone thus far, of course. We're
getting half a second on Ivanov in the first sector here, so those hards are flying, and Ivanov responds by coming into the pit lane.
Yeah, as does Watson. So yeah, this is Smith dictating this portion of the race as we reach the almost halfway mark. Once they cross the line next time by, it will be halfway. So yeah, Ivanov has his fresh tires on. He's all the way down the front of the pit lane, and he'll rejoin. Be ahead of Smith or not? It's going to be very close.
He's ahead of Riboli.
Got a good gap ahead of Riboli there. So there's a division between the drivers competing for our win today in race 1. And Watson down either 4 seconds or thereabouts. Saracino, though, will give him the attention as he battles Lucas Tylene for 12th. As there is a lot of driving to be done in the S's, of course. You can't really overtake unless your opponent makes a mistake up the Dunlop curve. Yeah, beautiful composure there from these two, keeping it nice and clean.
So Saracino and Tylene both pit on the same lap a lap ago, and Mike Quint has literally just pit and come out right behind them. So he's sort of overcut and kind of gained overall position in this race then in the process. So he had a really good in-lap, and that's really put him into the game here. Menaclon is Taras had a really, really bad pit stop there because he's dropped behind in between the two multi-forces, so it didn't quite go to plan for the King's driver. But this is really, really good for Quint because he's got the fresher tyres, so he can afford to watch Phylum and Saracino squabble with each other and gain places here as we look at Frelick down the order. So it's a mystery what happened to him. I think it's a typical Simon Frelick bad luck striking again, I'm afraid, with that pit stop being so slow.
Yeah, he'll have certainly something to say about that if he wishes to discuss at the end of race 2. But yeah, there's certainly a lot to play for, of course. Oh, he's getting feisty in the final Casio Triangle, and his run against Tuomela. It needs to be strong. Here we go. He'll be right on the wing as we can see the battle ahead. That'll be
Gino and Phylum. Yeah, Phylum defending well to turn 1, but here comes Frelick up the inside then, and he relieves Noah Tuomela of 17th position.
Yeah, now his job will be to compete with Meadow Clont. I'm sure they know each other.
Or Luke Mitchell in trouble because Harry Smith and Ivanov have just got by him and he's just been hemorrhaging places. I think he's made another mistake in the S's there.
Yeah, we'll see his sector one time. Oh, absolutely. A 47.
People who started on the hards are really struggling, Mitchell most of all, but Isaac Clark still holding steady in the lead. He's setting 139.9s. Ivanov and Harry Smith are setting 138s though.
Yeah, so just need to stay around that 139 if your tires are in use since the start of the race, and of course if you're on the fresh rubber, yeah, you have that boost.
Oh, they're holding up Filin and Saracino, and this is ideal for Mike Quinn here. This is going perfectly for him. As look at this, Saracino sees an opportunity and has to back out.
Yeah, it's just too dangerous unless you're already neck and neck into 130R, as we saw a bit earlier with the Hyperion having to defend very hard. And
Quinn goes through.
Back. He's gone for the switch. He's overshot the corner a little bit.
And Saracino loses it.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's a big loss for Saracino there. He'd be exposed a little bit to Taras. Coming down the start finish now is Freilich. So that's our new fastest lap of a 137.8. Yeah, that could be.
Whatever happened to Simon, it's really fired him up, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
But we saw there Mike Quinn really, really smart driving because he saw Luke Mitchell was holding that group up ahead of him and then cut to the inside of Saracino through 130 yards so that he could make that move and complete it through Paseo Triangle. So there wasn't quite enough space for Saracino. Saracino, I'm sure, is going to feel a little annoyed with that. He will no doubt fight on. But Mike Quint now, once these pit stops play out in front of him, he's going to be well nested in the top 10. So keeping his championship alive, even though it's all going to plan for Ivanov up front.
Yeah, indeed. Vincent Gutt in the YouTube chat says stalled in the pit. So what happened, yeah.
Such a rookie error, unfortunately. Look at this, Stoffmeal now right behind Massimiliano Riboli, who his lap times are in the 141.7s. So Stoffmeal about 3 seconds a lap faster, and Rozak is going to be right with him as well. Rozak has sort of undercut Filin, hasn't he?
Yeah, down the inside goes Stoffmeal. Riboli gives him a lot of respect there. A nice gesture for the sake of that, and certainly Rozak will just take the position. He won't wait any longer for it, as Riboli turns into pit lane. So there you go. Stoffmeal was prepared for the attack. Rozak just went in. All guns
Look at this. Ivanov being really held up now by Magnussen and Clark, who are fighting each other for the overall lead, but they, of course, yet to pit. And this plays Harry Smith. He's not been quite able to clear them as quickly as Ivanov, but now with two cars fighting directly in front of him, this could be a challenge for Victor. So Watson and Smith have got to get the hurry up here, because this could be the big opportunity to gain ground. And Watson certainly has got that message. He's just set a 137.5.
Absolutely. The hairpin, he will try perhaps disguise his approach, maybe take the...
Magnussen's so unpredictable though, isn't he? We've seen it in FS2, and Ivanov, starting to get a bit loose here, so not looking quite as comfortable as we thought he did earlier in this race then. Because he's not in... He's in the net lead, but not in the actual lead, and that's really what's hurting him here.
Yeah, into spoon curve. Yeah, this is just going to cost him at least a second.
There's Harry, and there's Amari.
Two Netrex drivers are piling in now. We'll compare split times in just a sec. See what the picture looks like now. 44.3 compared to 43.6 and 43.4 for Watson in his particular case. So Ivanov getting balked extremely badly. But it's all fair. It's for position.
Well, comes and that's Hamming and Rozak. They've come together.
Yeah, collision. But thankfully, both cars are able to resume. Clark into pit lane. So Magnussen, if he hangs on for another lap, Ivanov's ambitions to win this race will be under severe threat. And Freilich is not anywhere close to help.
Menno Klopp making a move on to Mella as Freilich now passes another car. That's the King's car. Who's that? That must be Taras. That is the spin stuff. Yeah, so Taras is not having a great stint, is he? Because he's dropped completely outside the top 10. Meanwhile, where's Clark emerged? He's on the soft tyres down in 17th behind Hoekstra, who I think has undercut him, essentially. So that's going to be interesting. But Ivanov now, only one car ahead of him, but this is exactly where he would really have loved. Oh, and he hits the back of Magnussen. Oh, and that's really held him up because now Harry Smith is all over the back of him. This is where he really would have loved to have Simon Frelick to back him up to keep those net races at bay. But he can't do that now because of that stall in the pits from Frelick. So now Harry Smith has got a great opportunity to steal the win away from his own team, essentially the sister team, with Victor Ivanov still yet to pass Magnussen, who's surely heading for the pits soon. So Harry Smith's not going to get too many other opportunities now.
Yeah, this isn't tin tops. You can't bump and run necessarily very well. So his frustration will be at boiling point, having found no way past the alternate strategy ran by Magnussen in the Alpha Delta. He will finally move over, but too little too late. It's Harry Smith's first opportunity to perhaps poach this win away and get him that valuable victory to begin his ascent up the order. I'm sure he'll be feeling so confident now that his big rival of the day is a little bit vulnerable in this 2v1 situation.
And this is really where the experience and teamwork of Harry Smith and Omari Watson at NetRex has really helped them, because you saw Watson towards the end of the first stint felt he was a bit faster, was using the DRS, was sort of showing his nose to the inside, but he backed out, decided to let his teammates set the pace, and it's actually really worked in their favour here as we look at Saracino desperately now trying to recover. That collision has put him back into the mix with Phylan, hasn't it? And they've got Frelick, who's recovered up to 9th, only about a second behind. So Saracino needs to clear Phylan as soon as possible, because otherwise Frelick is going to shoot right past him. It wasn't Rozak, I think, that we saw spinning. I think it was somebody else as well. Or Rozak recovered really well because he's actually just ahead of him.
Right, you are. We'll see now how he hangs on for the remainder of this stint. It could be a huge result for Parallax Volpino this season, of course. Not quite able to reach the heights of what we saw from them at Mache Hilla last year. And of course, the 4th place in race 1 at Saudi Arabia. That was one example of their potential supremacy, but to get this result, +6 compared to his grid position, that would be a huge boost, and it will get them right into the mix in the top 5 battle there.
In trouble here. He's going to get double slipstreamed here and double DRS'd by the 2 cars behind him. So Saracino tries to pick his moment. Frelick is gaining as well. Oh, he makes contact. That was a bit of weaving defense from Phylan, and look, he's getting sideways into turn 1. He's going to spin around. Oh, and they both get through.
That's insane. He's held it. Like, the fact that contact was made and he didn't lose control in the contact, that is incredible. And of course, Tylene himself, very aggressive. He will get a review on that, but to hold that slide, catch it in time and avoid contact with Frelick, that's inconceivable, really. So thank goodness that went no worse than it did.
Yeah, unfortunately for NetRex, despite gaining that ground, they've not been able to close back in. Ivanov is back to setting personal best laps at the rows 137.6. Smith and Watson in 138.5s, 138.2s. In fact, Watson looking 3 tenths quicker than Harry Smith at this phase. So will they fight, or will they stay in formation like they have for most of the race, as Justin Van der Smissen near the back has put on some fresh soft tyres and set the fastest lap of the race? As again, Watson is sort of showing his nose, like, you want me to take a turn, or should we do it your way, Harry? Is almost what he's saying. But interestingly, Frank Hamming has gone from 9th to 4th. Patrick Rozak has gone up to 5th, and Mike Quint from 13th, 12th on the grid is now in the top 6 and right behind Rozak. So this has really gone Mike Quint's way in this race. He's been the big gainer here, and Saracino still right behind him with Frelick in tow.
Yeah, I suppose Smith has the older tyres compared to his teammate. May play a factor. Maybe with 4 laps to go, 5 laps to go, a little bit too soon.
And Ivanov's on 3 lap older tyres than Watson as well, so it might be the smarter move to let him through. But in terms of the championship, maybe Harry Smith is the better bet. You never know, because Watson probably got the quicker raw pace, but he hasn't been able to keep it as clean as Harry Smith so far this season.
I suppose not. One or two things have gone against them.
It can change so quickly.
Yeah.
All it takes is one big wing to completely turn your championship around. Look at Luca Filin, winner in Saudi Arabia, and now in their very next race, being slipstreamed down to 9th. Look at this side-by-side action. Riboli going all the way around the outside of the Alpha Delta of that must be Russo. Oh, fabulous move there, and he's pulled it off.
Yeah, round of applause to Riboli there to commit for such a very sweeping part of the circuit, and then get
a big tire delta, but still, that's not a place you usually see moves through the latter part of the S's and through Dublin.
No, it's not a common spot whatsoever, and yeah, it will pay off for the Italian driving the King's racing car. But of course, the points are a little bit further away from him. He has to find another 7 seconds. But Matthew Sabinski, he wants to close out this race one with these points, keeping up with Menno Clont, who himself is battling Tuamela. Tuamela too far back from Taras, so yeah, this should be a two-way fight, and it could be crucial come the reverse grid draw, depending on the pure random number that comes out with the hat.
Yeah, I think that collision for Stoffmeal really cost him, because he had to make another pit stop. He's gone on the softs again. He's lapping very quickly, but he's down in 20th, so it looks unlikely for Stoffmeal to come away with points, which is a shame after he started the race so strongly, qualified so well. But you'd think he'd be right with Watson right now had things gone to plan. But, unfortunately, Suzuka, it can bite you, and these other drivers, they don't tend to leave too many presents on track, unfortunately, from the point of view of the drivers competing against them. But here's Saracino, though. He fancies having a go at Mike Quinn, and I believe he's got fresher tyres than Mike. No, actually, he's 1 lap older tyres, but he just seems very, very fired up right now. The pace of that Griffone really coming to the fore, and the multiple starting to... He's got to keep in the DRS of Rozak. That's going to save him here, but if he drops out of that, and he's within about... He's 6/10, within 6/10 of him at the moment, but Rozak is starting to check out here.
Yeah, Rozak doing a stellar job. Almost there now with 5 remaining as they will cross the line. Next time, and Isaac Clark, another driver with a bit between his teeth. Can he go to the inside of the second half of the Castro Triangle? No, he can't, but he's got to run here in Hoekstra, and it will be a 1v1 fight here. So which side will Clark pick to attack? It should be an inside line. Hoekstra holding station, and there we go. Clark just needs to nail it into the first curve and then into the second half of the apex. He does indeed. So Clark getting Pixel team, another boost there with a lovely pass.
Yeah, crucial move there, because Hoekstra was on the same strategy as Clark and undercut him by 2 laps there, so he needed to clear so he could catch up to those that are on the hard tyres at the moment, while the soft has still got some pace in it. So Zabinski 3.7 seconds ahead, but Clark could chew into that gap in the final 4 laps of the race.
Yeah, we'll see how it fares. Yeah, this big train of competitors, it should go to the end, but Ivanov has just certainly booked expectations, at least my expectations. He has pulled a huge lead out on Smith, having been under a lot of pressure. Now on the inside, it's Quint. He'll be through now. Rozak got a bad exit out of Spoon. He will need that slipstream to help him complete his defense on Saracino. Watching and waiting to see where the Castro Triangle develops.
Oh, 3 into 1, and again, it just does not go there. So that was ambitious from Simon Frelick, but he got turfed to the outside there. There wasn't really anything Saracino could have done to stop that, because he was sort of in the middle there, sort of squeezed between the pair of them. But yeah, Rozak getting very aggressive on the fence as we see one of the rookie monsters kick up some dust in the background there. That must be Tue Miller. It was Tyler in the KKM.
Yeah, Frelick, I can understand. There was the opportunity. He really needed to do it for the team. MS performed. Of course, they have the championship leader on board, but they've missed out on crucial points from their second car, of course, with missed opportunities. Tom Statterley, I suppose, he can get a great run so far this season, so those points matter a lot to MS performance. They'll need to find as many as possible with Freilich behind the wheel today.
Yeah, Freilich, as much as he'll be ruining that mistake, he's had a fantastic comeback, hasn't he? And really being able to put the moves on the likes of race winners like Luca Fiolin and Menno Clont as well. He was able to clear fairly quickly. And he's gone from down in 18th all the way back up into 8th, so 10 places gained in just 7 or 8 laps or something like that, isn't it? So he's really had metronomic progress through the order, but the problem is starting to run out of laps and potentially running out of tyres as well, as the hards start to come to the end of their lifespan. Isaac Clark, by the way, is still about 3.2 seconds behind Zabinski, so Zabinski's been able to respond a little bit, only 4 tenths slower. We've got Luke Mitchell now all over the back of Russo, who's just been dropping backwards in this race. Mitchell, after making a few mistakes, keen to redeem himself, keen to just end on a high and make a decent move here on those softs with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, he's going to use a lot more of the chicane.
Rozak in trouble.
There. Yeah, he's held it, but yeah, that could give Russo one last chance really to defend, but of course it's no DRS for the Alpha Delta driver. It's going to be a late ditch pass. Completed in the second phase, so there you go. Well done, Luke, and respectful driving as well from Federico.
That was brave from Luke Mitchell. I seem to remember him trying that pass several times in the FS2 race last year and getting it wrong and sort of making a bit of a meal on his way to the title, but certainly Luke Mitchell, as I said, ending the race on a high like he would have preferred to, but it's just a shame he's not quite in the points where I think he feels he maybe ought to have been, right where Clark is essentially. And Magnussen has actually found his way past Isaac Clark for 13th. So that really shows you how good he's been going in the Alpha Delta. Well, one Alpha Delta is overtaken, the other gets a few more points to its name. But Rozak has now dropped outside the points. So I think he made another mistake behind Mike Quinn, didn't he? And that's allowed Saracino through into the top 6, back where he qualified, funnily enough. So it's all come full circle for Giuseppe Saracino.
Yeah, indeed. He can just hold on to this position after his defence that Freilich made him do. I suppose he had a balance in that to perform. He held on. In the parting of the Red Sea, I suppose there, Menno Clont has to...
That's Daniel starting out play, isn't it? 2 laps down.
Yes.
Well, just 1 lap down, sorry, I should say.
Yeah.
Getting out of the way of both his teammate, Tuomela, and Menno Clont. Menno, he's not been able to make quite the same progress as Mike Quinn. So it certainly makes sense why they let Mike through, isn't it? But Menno's been doing okay. He's just outside the top 10 yet again. It seems he's perennially always in like 11th, 12th, 13th, isn't he, in these races? Yeah, here's Harry Smith then, holding off Omari Watson. So unlike Ivanov, Harry Smith has actually got a car behind him that's potentially going to punish him for being on older tyres. And in this case, it's his teammate as well. So Camerawork's looking good in the team's championship, but do they let their drivers race in the final lap of the race, or do they play it safe here? Planning as well.
If it were me, they've had their opportunity to have a race. I think Kuvalov will finish 2nd and 3rd after all this time with Smith ahead. That would be my opinion on the matter. Whether that's going to happen or not, we'll see. Yeah, I think it's been Smith's performance today in qualifying and this race that deserves the runners-up spot as things stand.
Oh, and look at this. It's Zabinski. They've caught him. So Magnussen through, and now Isaac Clark, who looks much quicker. He hasn't burnt through the softs, has he? I really hope not, because he's going to be in trouble if he has. The American now sizing up the Polish driver in front of him as he starts the final lap. But unfortunately, Zabinski also gets DRS. So it's going to have to be all down to that right foot and the brakes as he pulls to the outside. And is he going to be far enough alongside? No. Good defense from Zabinski.
That's a superb judgment there from Matthias. Staying composed in the S's, this could be the difference maker, as Clark will follow his shadow inch by inch, maybe backing off a little bit to get out of the dirty air, and then he'll push on from the hairpin towards Spoon to see if there is a way through. But yeah, it is Ivanov's 5-second advantage. Oh, in the Degner AstroTurf. This could be the moment. Here comes Clark. He's going to be really close now. But of course, the hairpin, he had to have been committed at least with 2 wheels.
Magnussen, he's caught Klont as well. So Magnussen up to P11 then. Wow, what a great final stint he's had. And Menno, not happy about being overtaken on the final lap. He's going to stay as close as he can to try and get the DRS back, but I think that could be it.
It's very difficult to overtake before and after 130R. But Viktor Ivanov, he does not care one jot. He wins the race 1 here at Suzuka. He's achieved an astonishing 100% hit rate in these race 1s, Ed. Absolutely fantastic.
Yep, really showing his class, the reigning FSR Pro Champion, and really showing what he can do in GPV as well. And nobody's really been able to hold a candle to Viktor Ivanov this season as the final points finish. He's just crossed the line. Menno just behind Patrick Magnussen by 2 tenths there. And Wopke Hoekstra gets the final point. As Luke Mitchell has lost it at the final chicane there, so clearly pushing the softs a little further than they wanted to go. And I think that was just him trying to do a move on Christos Villo and it not quite working out in the battle for 19th.
Stint to forget, I'm afraid, there for Luke. And of course, without his teammate Bradley Sellers able to complete a lap, this will go down very poorly for Lunark's belief after having had a fantastic time here. Well, I suppose 6 months ago, you could say, with the race 2 victory they had. But nevertheless, there we go. It should be all the drivers across the line at this point. With, yeah, the fact I think 25 drivers completed the race on the lead lap. Daniel Scott probably the one driver a lap down.
Well, we didn't mention it, but Simon Frelick caught and passed Saracino as well before the end for 6th place there. So fantastic comeback for Simon. Saracino, I think, will be mixed feelings. At least he got a top 7 finish, got some good points on the board, but I think he would have hoped for a little bit better there. But yeah, the big winners, Ivanov and Netrex.
Yeah, without a doubt. And we'll summarise the race 1 order right now with Viktor Ivanov. There you go, a hat-trick of race 1 victories, beating out the Netrex duo of Smith and Watson. Hamming yet again a mighty consistent driver. But he just doesn't get his reward. He does know how to race here at Suzuka, but yeah, he'll hope for a bit better in race 2. With Mike Quint fighting his way up, using that race setup to full advantage. Shimon Frelick, he would have felt the podium was within reach, but a pit lane error has relegated him to P6. Giuseppe Saracino, Lucas Tylene, Oliver Taras, and Noah Tuamela have completed the top 10. And more points on offer for Patrick Magnussen, perhaps a contender for drivers of the session as well. Fabulous job. Menno Klont at P12, Matthew Sabinski, Isaac Clark, and Wopke Hoekstra there as well. It unraveled, I'm afraid, for Rorschach. No close yet so far. Sene Stoffmeal, an admirable performance for him, having come in as a substitute for Pixelate. Riboli for 18th. Philo and Mitchell are the top 20. Federico Russo, David De Vries, Justin van der Smissen, Alas Beckys, Philip Koenig, all on the lead lap. Daniel Scott was put a lap down. Retirements again for Van Sant and Moat for 100 to 1. 5 consecutive double DNFs. That will be a sickener, to say the least. Davrowski in 28th on screen there. Did not make the finish either. And Bradley Sellers didn't complete a full lap of the race, Ed. So a disappointment for him as well.
Yeah, never really got going for
And you're all very welcome back to Formula Sprint 1 coverage for 2024 at Suzuka. It's Eoin, Harmon and Ed Hunter ready to resume the action with a big draw in the reverse grid round here. Ed, what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, well, two things seem absolutely certain in FS1 this season. One is that Victor Ivanov wins race 1. The other is Christos Villa will set fastest lap in race 2. So it's one thing you can bet on the Latvian to do consistently. But yeah, Oliver Taras inheriting with the reverse grid draw. That's the big opportunity there.
Yeah, so he gets his just reward for a fine drive in the feature race, and now he has the chance to lead everyone away for the sprint. It'll be all guns blazing if you can go out to the end on the hard tire, but otherwise the soft. So we pushed perhaps to the 9th or 10th lap, and then they'll go all the way to the end for the second stint. So we'll review our formation lap as we proceed now past Dunlop into Degner. So there we go. Taras gets the opportunity there ahead of Tylene with Saracino and Freilich ready for round 2 from row 2. Mike Quint, one to watch, of course, from P5, a contender for the win, perhaps, with Hamming and the Netrex duo, 7th and 8th. 9th and 10th belongs to Ivanov, who won another race 1, and Noah Tuomela, who finished 10th, with Magnussen there, another driver who did well in race 1, and Klant for P12. Zubinski, Clark and Hoekstra hold the points paying positions, with the Rorschach just outside in 16th. Sene Stoffmeal heads up Massimiliano Raboli for 17th and 18th. Spillo and Mitchell 19th and 20th. We have Federico Russo and David De Vries, Alpha Delta versus VMS Sun Edits, with Van der Smith in the other VMS Sun Edits, followed by Ballas Beckys in the Parallax Volpino. 24th, now 25th, 26th, it's Koenig and Scott. Sandro Van Sand will try and finish a race for 100 to 1 in P27. Dabrowski 28th. Archie Moet just ahead of Bradley Sellers, the one driver there in the Lunar car who did not complete a racing lap in race 1. Yeah, it's a wide open opportunity here with Taras subbing in for Jack Nichols tonight. Here is the Kings Racing team. They'll have their shot at the run down to turn 1. We got a lot of competitive teams, all within the orbit of our pole sitter.
King's car not the quickest in a straight line though, so needs to be careful he doesn't get caught by Luca Filin into turn 1. We saw in the FS2 race 2, unfortunately one of my drivers tried that move and it didn't quite work out, so let's hope he doesn't Filin doesn't repeat that mistake. But keep your eyes as well on Senna Stoffmeal down at 17th. He's got really good pace, could make up a lot of places if there's chaos ahead.
Yeah, now all eyes will be on the starting lights. 5 of them are illuminated, and a quick launch. Here we go. Race 2 begins, and Taras will try and merge the inside to block Tylene. Tylene, though, has to hold firm with the side-by-side Saracino and Freilich. Can they come to an agreement this time? Yes, it's Freilich ahead. Quint stays in 5th. Frank Hamming also merging in to P6. Bit of dust kicked up there. The Rorschach battling hard with Zubinski.
Perfect start by Simon Freilich. Got the jump on Giuseppe Saracino and got the inside line, so nothing the Italian could do to hold him at bay. I was certain we were going to get another Mike Quint, Simon Freilich battle like we saw in the first half of last season, but Saracino, though, ensuring that doesn't happen on this opening tour. But now Simon Freilich, if we can keep with Luca Filin in this first couple of laps, is definitely in the box seats to potentially win this one. There, and he touched the back of Filin and spins him around. That's not what you needed to do, Simon. Oh dear, through goes Saracino. All that hard work undone.
Wow, that's a bitter blow to take there. Taras will benefit, of course. Yeah, what a chance. Freilich, yeah, it's another bump and run at the hairpin involving an MS Performance car, but yeah, we will just have to settle down and race on here. But an incredible 1.5 second lead for Oliver Taras. Saracino did his best to avoid the goings on, and Mike Quinn's already on the podium.
Yeah, that worked out perfectly. It's Tylen's round again. At the chicane. Oh dear.
Yeah, that's going to tumble him out of proceedings completely. Yeah, he's in 17th, perhaps 18th if Mitchell has a say.
Oh, Saracino under attack from Quinn up front as well.
Oh my goodness me, so many battles there.
Wide. Oh.
Oh.
So that was Svillo under attack from Luke Mitchell there. Luke Mitchell very aggressive at turn 1 to take that position. That's not the first time he's had to overtake Svillo today, is it? Especially after race 1 ended with that collision with Mitchell spinning. He gets his revenge now. As we look at Ivanov, who's bided his time. Looks like all of the top 18 starting on the hard tire. Only Koenig risking it. Bradley Sellers as well. Bradley Sellers has actually made a good start from the back of the grid up to 24th. Massimiliano Riboli, though, in lap 2 leaves the race, sadly. He is out. So only one King's car left, and it's the one leading Oliver Taras.
Yeah, so a lot happened there. Yeah, Ivanov doing the right thing just to keep his himself out of any bother, following along before DRS is activated.
He's jumped by Tuamela though, I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So really handy for him to gain a position. But of course he's got to keep up with Harry Smith, the runner-up in race 1, to really make this stint count. Yeah, it seems like Koenig will be hoping for the one-stop strategy to pay off. Maybe other drivers get involved in trouble. Down the outside. Oh, contact!
Oh my goodness me. And
somehow
he gets hit again. Noah Tuamela claws out today, and now Isaac Clarke is all over this as well.
Yeah, Clarke will have a lot of bravery, I'm sure. We know what he's capable of. He's picking the inside on Ivanov.
My goodness. Oh, and even I was going to just hang him around the outside to dry, but it's going to be the longer way round. But it becomes a shorter way round for turn 3. Oh, just around with Isaac Clarke. Oh, he needed to back out much earlier there, Eoin.
Yeah, that brings back the bad memories of Jeddah, because of course it was Clarke on pole 2 weeks ago, and he crashed in race 1 from that opportunity. So
yeah, such a good start to the race though, as well. 10th, 14th to 10th, and he scored those first 2 points of his championship just a few short minutes ago as well. So big setback there, but still plenty of race left to go, and he knows Koenig ahead of him has got to pit again. So Clarke, if he can clear the 2 VMSs quickly, could potentially nab the final point off of Luke Mitchell here. He's going to create a big opportunity now to all those ahead of him.
Yeah, the excitement is building even after some feisty battles and contact and everything. So yeah, Tylene, of course, one of those drivers who has been hit and spun around the place, and he's got to team up with Christers to redeem this race for KKR. We'll see exactly what they can cook together. We'll see what could possibly be done to get themselves past Luke Mitchell one way or the other. Saracino has certainly clawed back the head start, I suppose you could say, Taras got with a fabulous lap of a 138.1. You could see, I think that would have been Freilich going for position. But Ivanov hangs it way too high, and he's off circuit using the runoff, and he will rejoin just ahead of Menno Clont.
Yeah, you saw what happened there. He just got caught on the curb, and it's like I said, a skateboard. It's a similar thing if you go wide at Degner 1 as well, and you just completely go straight on and have to get out the curb to get your traction back. But yeah, the Zabinski gets a free position as a result of that, but Tuamela just not making things easy for the championship leader at all. And this, if anything, creates a big opportunity for Watson and Smith in 6th and 7th now, because they are right behind Simon Freilich, and they've now got several positions, or 2 positions between themselves and Ivanov. As we look at Saracino, starting to put pressure on Oliver Taras, and the young British driver who has never really ran this high up in FS1 before. His best finish is a P7 at Abu Dhabi last year, and it now finds all the weight of the King's Racing team on his shoulders, so he has got to get as good a position here as he can. Can he hold off Saracino? Can he hold off Quint? We know how good both of them are. Saracino, a double podium finisher. Mike Quint, a race winner, former championship leader as well. So as we see Isaac Clarke recovering, and immediately he dispenses David De Vries. turns his attention to Justin van der Smissen in P17.
Yeah, so the only way is up for Isaac after the contact with Victor. So Taras into lap 5 sees no direct swing from the Griffon behind. But Thailand, though, this looks like he will proceed for the VMS Sun Edits, taking the long way round of turn 1. But yeah, he's been granted the place as De Vries does not see any benefit of competing with the driver eager for more points in this championship contention.
Luca Fiden, if he follows Isaac Clark, they could both find themselves back in the points before too long at this rate. And there is a small gap between Van der Smissen and Svilo, 1.3 seconds. But meanwhile, up front, we do see Ivanov has cleared Zabinski into turn 1. We saw that in the foreground on this lap. So Ivanov has started to get things back under control. Now he's got Tuomela, who once more is going to just block the road behind him, isn't he? And prevent Victor Ivanov from catching Harry Smith.
Yeah, the Team Rookie Monsters, whatever opportunity will come to them, that will be so valuable as they want to carry on their good form from Jeddah. But of course, the problem is Daniel Scott is out of the race, so you can't take too many risks because you've no second in command. So yeah, whatever can be done by Noah, he has to be very careful, otherwise Team Rookie Monsters will have no I suppose intact vehicles to take home for their next round.
Yep. No risk, no reward, so Tuomela knows P8 would be certainly very, very close to his best, if not his best result, period. As there we go, Ivanov has a little look up the inside and Tuomela just swipes across to keep him behind once more. So Victor Ivanov, ever the pass master, will have to get creative here to find a way through past Tuomela. Meanwhile, Simon Frelick has closed on Frank Hamming, so now that Thailand's out of the way, Frelick has to find a way back through Hamming to get himself back into that podium fight, because Mike Quinn dropped off the back. Mistake from Tuomela through Dunlop. There we go.
Yeah, at least he caught the bouncing on the gravel. That could have been a terrifying spin in front of a hard charging group of drivers. So he does lose that position as Ivanov was right there to benefit, but yeah, that would have been much scarier if the Team Rookie Monsters driver lost the back end and spun it. So yeah, only one position lost. It's not the end of the world, but keeping up with the championship leader, that's a whole nother story.
It certainly is. But yeah, Tuomela doing his level best to keep Zabinski at bay now as we look at the lead battle. Saracino, who's got Taras all to himself. Mike Quinn maybe being a bit easier on his tyres because we have still got quite a way to go in this race. But Saracino, he's not hanging around. He wants to clear Taras as soon as possible.
Yeah, and this is his best opportunity of race 2 thus far. He'll take the inside line, watching and waiting for his apex. He's got it. Just has to hold on for turn 2. In the background, Frelick just cannot seem to find any openings against Frank Hamming, who knows this track very, very well from his past experience, almost winning here last season. But yeah, Frelick, he has a little bit more work to do as he still gets the hang of this MS Performance car.
Yeah, we saw him passing cars quite comfortably in race 1, didn't we? We see Saracino set the purple first sector with that DRS on the back of Taras. Now he's finally got through. I expect Saracino to clear off into the distance now, as long as he doesn't chew for his tyres. But that could be a first win for the Italian and a first win for Griffon in FS1 as well. So a big moment coming up for them if they can hold on to this one. Oliver Taras, though, doing enough. Doesn't look like Quint is really making too many inroads. He was 3 attempts faster the previous lap, but at the current rate, Quint might not catch Taras till the very end of the race unless he gets a move on here or Taras starts making mistakes here. So this is looking good for Kings.
Yeah, it's highly encouraging so far, having both their lead drivers absent today to make things perhaps complicated, but so far so good. They would be chuffed to bits with the podium inside. Yes, he's got the job done this time. Frank Hamming finally missing out there. So a beautiful move on the inside of the Casio triangle. But watch out, of course, for the pushback as the Netrex drivers watch with interest.
Like you say, finally Frank Hamming makes a mistake. It's like you were waiting for it, siding with someone. But of course, completely unbiased there. I'm sure Frank Hamming isn't completely down and out just yet. But yeah, he's still got to hold off the Netrex trio of Watson and Smith, because now Ivanov's got through Tuomela, he's potentially a threat to them. So Omari Watson in particular is going to be very, very keen to get into fifth as soon as he can and try and follow Simon Frelick through, as we look at Zabinski continuing to pile pressure on Noah Tuomela. Ninth would be Tuomela's joint best result in FS1.
Yeah, so if he can hang on to it, he will be eternally grateful after the Dunlop curve incident, as Clark...
It would be his best result, wouldn't it? Because his best result is 10th, which he's done twice now. Race 1 a few minutes ago and Silverstone last year.
Yeah, so Clark, he got a lot of tail, the tail wag there. Thankfully, out of Degner 2 was no problem. And Zubinski trying a move into Spoon. That was quite uncommon, to say the least, but yeah, when the points are on the line, you have to do whatever you can possibly do to make these passes and gain as best results as possible. Into 130 or they go. It could be, as a matter of fact, Rorschach. Yeah. Ooh, locking wheels.
It's a bit naughty from Menno there.
Yeah, I think Menno did stay his line, so Rorschach tried to poke into that gap that was available, but the wheels locked up a little bit between the two vehicles, and the run for Sene Stoffmeal almost paid off. Yeah, just having a quick look at the YouTube playback there, it was a case. Rorschach was a bit optimistic, but yeah, it was an opening, but yeah, Menno Clant had that covered, I think.
Yeah, probably fair on balance there. I don't think Rozak will be too upset, maybe just a little bit annoyed that he couldn't quite pull the move off around the outside, but he needed to be further alongside realistically to get the overlap for the second part of the chicane there at Casio Triangle. But certainly the two Pixelates on the move. Stoffmeal has gone from 17th, 18th all the way up to 13th, so looking good for more points for Pixelate, as long as Isaac Clark now can clear Christos Villo, who's trying to help his teammate Phylin just a couple of places behind by holding up the fearsomely quick Clark. But this is all helping Hoekstra and Mitchell escape in the final points paying positions, just a few tenths up the road.
Yeah, that's it. So if, whoa, wide goes Clark. Vander Smissen has picked up the pieces there, and he rises to that 17th position. So the battle for the final point in the order, it's belonging to Wopke Hoekstra at the moment, but it's certainly available for anyone who can give him a fair fight. But on the outside, with a race lead, almost dead.
Yeah, he was a 10th quicker than Saracino the previous lap. Now, some of that will be DRS, of course, but Taras has done really, really well. And I thought Saracino was going to clear off, but actually, Saracino started to, his pace has started to even out with the others, hasn't it? And now Mike Quinn was over 2 seconds behind. Has now started to slowly claw back in. He's dragging Frelick, Hamming, Watson, Smith, and Ivanov another 2 seconds back there, of course. So potentially we could see a top 7 fight for the win in the closing stages here as Saracino's in trouble. But Taras, really impressive here. He has just looked really confident, even though Saracino passed him. He didn't lose his composure, he didn't panic. He's kept him more than honest here, and this is great news for Kings Racing. Could get their best result of the season, and with a substitute driver as well.
Yeah, you bet. And of course, they're 12th in the classification so far with 7 points, and that will shoot up more than perhaps a 2-to-1 ratio if they can get this podium in the bag with Taras. So yeah, it would mean they will gain some places, and they'll be highly confident heading into the Chinese Grand Prix coming up in the next fortnight. But that is still something in the future, as it's only the halfway point now. And there's Stoffmeal again. he's getting so close. He's fearless, this driver. So if he can make this move on DRS, then it would be very impressive.
And this time Rozak has sort of learned from Menno Clon there to sort of squeezes Stolmir to the outside, and Senna sort of sees that one coming, doesn't he? And decides discretion being the better part of valor to not go for it. But, the DRS train behind Menno Clon really coming into effect here. In fact, Menno himself getting DRS from Zabinski and Tuo Mella, as we see Bradley Sullers pit for the first time, and it looks like Koenig, Ekis have also come into the pits as well for new soft tyres. Both the 100 to 1s still in the race, surprisingly enough. Sancho Fansan 23rd, Archie Moat 27th and last, but they're still in the race, so that is only 6 laps to go. It's looking good for a double finish. Maybe not a points finish, but I think Ben Constantine will take that.
Yeah, Ben will take any lead lap result, I reckon. Maybe get lapped once at the most around here, and it will be considered a real monkey off the back for 100 to 1 to finally see the checkered flag at the 6th running of the championship. Race 2 in round 3 is on course for their best results so far, but we won't jinx them whatsoever. Isaac Clark, he wants to undo the mistake he made here at Spoon not too long ago, but Christopher Svillo, he knows how important this is, and 2 drivers follow each other there. So Tylene, he's going to benefit. There's Van der Smissen. He's now lost that progress he made against Clark, and now Tylene working his way all the way to 18th again, defending as hard as he can. There is Tylene, but Van der Smissen, of course, cannot really make that work for the podium. Let's go.
Oh dear, so Mike Quint really starting to struggle, and Simon Frelick all over him like a cheap suit then through turn 1, but Mike Quint somehow, using his experience, his canny know-how to hold on, and this is the fight that I thought we were going to see in this race then. And then Mike Quint, he knows this is a great chance to claw back some precious points back to Victor Ivanov and get a decent haul of points for Multiforce with Menno in P11 right now in that team's championship battle against Netrex. So absolutely pivotal for Mike Quint to hold on here if he can, because everyone behind looking to take advantage. Simon Frelick already has had a collision with Luca Violin today. He's very keen not to repeat that, but the more these two fight, the better it is for Oliver Taras now, 1.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, these 2 drivers were competing for the championship last season for the certainly the 60%, 70% duration of the season before all unraveled.
Hammy overtaken by Watson.
Oh yes, good spot.
Made a mistake at Spoon, hasn't he? He's done exactly what we saw Clark and De Vries do when they were fighting behind Svillo, the Krista Svillo distraction tactic.
Yeah. So there we go, Hamming down to P6. But here we go. It's Frelick and a straight 1v1 fight for the 3rd position with the final 6 laps to go. He'll pick the outside line. Quint defends the inside, but it's a clean move around. So Frelick is there for P3.
Was that Taras in the grass there, just ahead of them? But yeah, fabulous move around the outside from Simon Frelick, but Taras using the DRS, purple final sector for the King's Racing driver. He's been pacing himself. He's really fired up to try and put a challenge to Saracino here. And now Frelick has gotten through. There's that extra little impetus for Oliver Taras then. There was a comment in chat from somebody saying, it was Domenico Scarpelli, I think, saying Oliver is using all of his Suzuka power in FS1 instead of FS2. So yeah, of course, he had a great run in FS2 on Tuesday, but certainly making up for it here as he just gets the wheel spin on. So Saracino starting to look a little cagey, knows he's a bit vulnerable because he hasn't got that DRS, but 2 cars behind him are very much about to attack him once more. So he needs to hold on for just a few more laps here to take that first win for himself and Griffone here. But Simon Frelick, his eyes light up here. 2 rookies, relative rookies compared to his experience, up for grabs here, and he needs to clear both of them if he wants to win.
Yeah, precisely. And since the rebrand, of course, Griffone were once EP Lab, but the chance to win in their new identity, that would be absolutely phenomenal, to say the least. But it's far from over. the job, it's only partially done now. With 5 to go, we have ourselves a big train for the potential victory.
138.3.
Fastest lap.
139.8 for Paris, 139.8 for Saracino. So yeah, nearly over a second a lap faster. As you see Zabinski trying to go around the outside of Tuomela with the DRS into turn 1. He's not alongside enough, surely. Oh, just enough space left between the pair. No more than necessary, eh, Tuomela?
Yeah.
Oh, and Zabinski's
watching
got
those
it.
wheels.
Fabulous.
Wow. Unreal driving there from Zabinski. And he has to be considered a very proud driver after the struggles. I think in race 1 he wasn't available to set a time in qualifying, or at least he may have had trouble connecting to the server. Now he's all the way in 9th.
Look, he's lost 6 seconds to even off because if he was stuck behind Tuomela there. So that really shows you being stuck behind someone, especially in such a short format, can really dictate your race essentially. But up front, no. Oh, is that Taras making a mistake? Frelick goes through. Taras has made that mistake at Spoon so late on. He was just pushing that a little bit too hard to get Saracino, and that really takes the pressure off to Giuseppe, because now these two are going to fight each other.
That's it, yeah. So Giuseppe at the moment is over a second clear. He will stay 1.1, 1.2 seconds clear, but nevertheless, Frelick, now that he has rebounded after that pit lane stall he had, losing a bit of ignition, he has gotten himself fully on board for this race, and he wants to get himself yet another FS1 victory, even if it's just the temporary display from him today.
Oh, and look at this Tuomela trying to fight back. He's doing a carbon copy move on Zabinski around the outside of the DRS there. And Rozak behind, he's fastest of all of them, 138.8, watching with interest, while these two squabbling in the 140s with each other, Tuomela and Zabinski. So yeah, the tasty little train of DRS in the battle for 9th, but the top 8 all within 5.2 seconds, with Ivanov joining at the back of Harry Smith's car now as well. 1.4 seconds the gap there. Yeah, everyone ahead of them less within DRS range of each other, so one mistake here could decide that battle in the lead pack there. But Simon Frelick knows this is his chance to take a win here and steal it away from Saracino, who's done a superb job so far as Stoffmeal tries to set up Menno Klomp once more.
Yeah, he's trying some varying racing lines under heavy braking, I suppose. But of course, behind him, Stoffmeal has to worry about Luke Mitchell, who wants to end Lunark's work for the day on a high note after disappointment in race 1. So here we go, the big train heading over the bridge and into 130R on board with Sene. Let's see if he can line up an attack into the start-finish straight.
Very close to Saracino now. Look at this with the DRS round the outside. And Simon Frelick takes the lead as Mike Quint now goes round the outside of Taras as well. So Taras off the podium. And wow, there's only just 2 more laps to go. Your heart's got to go out to Saracino there because he was a sitting duck around the DRS. But now he needs to stay close and he might be able to fight back against the MS Performance car.
Don't give up just yet. You do have an outstanding FS1 caliber driver in front of you. He's got his eyes on bigger prizes these days, but he has come back when MS Performance needed a dig out, and he will be competing for another victory in his career. It's not over yet, so if Saracino could stay in that half a second, maybe 3/4 of a second deficit, then he has a brief chance. But at the moment, it will be Saracino under pressure, perhaps just to stay ahead of Mike Quint. But here's Menno Klomp still defending hard from Mitchell, while still on the gearbox of Stoffmeal. And this is just one heck of a race, whether you're going for the victory or for these priceless few points in the bottom half of the top 15.
Yeah, Hoekstra holding on to the final point from Svillo at the moment. Zvillo is putting a great defensive drive, hasn't he? And because Clark has made another mistake, and now Filin is all over the back of him. As Stoffmeer pulls the inside of Rozak at 130. That's really brave. It's bold. Do they make contact? Oh, they just about avoid it. But Stoffmeer not quite able to make it through. But 10 out of 10 for effort there.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, absolutely brilliant from the Belgian. But he still has a bit of time left.
Train. He's got all the championship contenders behind him, hasn't he? Watson, Harmon, Smith, Ivanov, all just in a line. So Tarasi may be off the podium, but the pressure is not gone away at all, as Saracino's still 8/10 behind Frelick. So, oh, and that's Saracino gone! Oh, no. I spoke too soon. Taras back on the podium, but a big spin coming out of the S's for Giuseppe Saracino. He had second placed himself, got a little bit too close to the draft with Simon Frelick, and round he went. That's bitter. That's gutting for Griffon.
Oh, that'll break your heart. Yeah, you would have just seen a flash of the Griffon car sliding backwards before the entry to Dunlop. And there we go. He will at least keep a few points, but that doesn't pay.
It gapped it to it.
Will. But the podium, that would have meant the world to him. He does have one from last season. From his cameo.
As Luke Mitchell retires.
Oh, no.
Christopher Billow into the final points position. Let's look at this. Magnussen. Oh, he's going to put on another of his signature moves here on the back of Luca Filin.
And Tylene will not yield one bit. He will try everything he can.
Having internet issues. It looks like he's just sort of jerking around on the acceleration zones. I don't think that he's brake testing Magnussen or anything there. I think it's internet issues. Is that Stoffmeer again having a go at Con as Magnussen has surely got Luca Filin here as they touch. Oh, and round goes Filin.
And he slams on the brakes to prevent anyone else coming across his axis. See, that's a multiple. It's Clont.
Oh, so there must have been contact between Stoffmeer and Clont coming off the loser in that, so there could be an investigation for Stoffmeer. In fact, even if Frelick wins this one, there could be an investigation for that contact on the first lap with Filin, wasn't it? Right as I said, he just needs to stick behind Filin. He got a little too close to the back of Luca Filin, but since then, to be fair, he's driven brilliantly, so whatever happens can't take away great performance from Simon Frelick in this race.
Yeah, Frelick has done a remarkable job here coming in to relive some of the great memories he had with TOP in the new MS Performance guys. But the battle for the podium carries on with Watson ahead of Taras now. But in fairness, Taras has to block Frank Hamming. That should be the priority now, heading into the final 5 corners. Watching out for the contact. I think Hamming did have the corner. Yeah, he did have the corner, but it was a push. But here we go, Taras on board. Can he fight back? But of course, we have to think about the checkered flag flying for Frelick in just a moment. Side by side, don't collide.
Taras has got the inside.
Do it. Has he kept it on the black stuff? No, he hasn't. He's been undercut. He's been undercut. Frelick has won it. Frelick has made it to the checkered flag and beats his old rival Mike Quint. But Watson has secured the podium for himself ahead of Frank Hamming. And Taras hangs on to 7th place, so Ivanov also benefits. Oh, the underdogs did not have their day, I have to say.
Taras and Saracino. Oh, Russo being let through by Magnussen there. Interesting. The battle, I guess Magnussen the substitute driver, so it makes sense they get the final points, of course. There's unfortunately Rozak and Clont just miss out. Got a feel for Menno Clont there with being hit by Stoffmeer. But also Taras there, he tried to keep the inside brake there a little bit too late and ended up losing not just a couple of positions, but 3 whole positions on the final lap there. So Taras and Saracino, they were fighting for the win. In the end, neither of them will get it. And it's on the road, at least, it's going to be Simon Frelick. But let's not forget, about 100 to 1, because both Sandro Van Sant and Archie Moat are going to come through to take their first finishes, 23rd and 24th. It may be last, but Ben Constantine's cars see the checkered flag as Simon Frelick has lost his front wing somewhere. Let's hope he doesn't lose the win as well in this territory.
Yeah, he must have done something into the S's or something like that. But yeah, we will see the fan, sort of the people's champions, 100 to 1. Their wishes to at least find a a lead lap finish of any kind. That'll do. They're so close now. Just need to get Sandro and Archie Moa to the end. And yeah,
Sandro's
that is
crossed the
the
line
job
there.
done. Yeah, he has made it, Sandro. And I think Archie will have us just about now. I think he's made it.
In front of him. There. Oh, he looks justifiably happy, doesn't he? But Ben Constantine says, yes, a checkered flag. His says, no way, 100 to 1 finish. Eoin Andre Kilhausvik says, 100 to 1 finished, woohoo. Outlaw F2 says, yeah, best team on the grid. Alex Zeeuw says, 100 to 1 equals odds of finishing a race. And he attributes that quote to Eoin McGorgy. I'm not sure if Eoin McGorgy ever said that, but okay. And Ben says, one step towards a title. Oh, ambitious there. Gotta love that from Ben Constantine.
So I think what would be like a 12% hit ratio for 100 to 1. So yeah, I will be pleased with that. But back to the business at hand. Szymon Frelick, the substitution supreme, getting the rewards for that fantastic drive in race 2. Mike Quint following in for another podium, with Amari Watson also there in P3. So the championship contenders, 2nd and 3rd there, with Frank Hamming again, another very composed drive. He got the job done on Taras into Spoon and held on for 4th, with Harry Smith again picking up valuable points in 5th, even off not much he could have done from his 9th place grid slot, but 6th place I think is a really good return. Taras there survived the battles, and of course he could have been the podium, but yeah, he'll take 7th place all day, I'm sure. Saracino, Tuamela and Stoffmeal complete the top 10. Wopke Hoekstra, I mentioned his name and he was 15th, but his classified finish is 11th, so well done to the HGP team on a double point scoring race here. Zubinski, very good drive for him in 12th. Svilo and the Alpha Delta duo, they'll be feeling a bit sore about that in some regards. With Magnussen, of course, I think he knows he had some great pace, but 14th and 15th, that'll do, I'm sure. Roshak again, no points for all his hard work. Really close, but no reward. Menno Klons was loose at the Cassia Triangle, fell out of the points, and will have to take 17th. Then we have Clark, Koenig, and Sellers on the top 20. David De Vries and Ballas Becky's 21st and 22nd. And there we are, the aforementioned Have a Go heroes, Van Sand and Moat, finishing a race together for 100 to 1. So well done to those drivers for their never say die attitude. And DNF for Tylene there. He was so close, but unfortunately he fell off. Luke Mitchell, similar story for him. He was looking good for a while, but it is a disappointment for Lunark there. Van der Smissen, Dabrowski, Scott and Raboli all retired fairly early on, I'm afraid. There we have it. We have our interview room 2 weeks ago, Ed. We had to go to people to have a chat with us, but I think today will be a lot more interesting for discussion.
Yeah, it seems we've got a few takers, but I just love, by the way, Christos Villos celebrating 13th in the pits by doing donuts like he won the race. A 13th big result for the KKR driver. So, like, we did praise him, and I think he did a good defensive drive there. But anyway, shall we talk to Szymon Frelick, our race 2 winner, as he's just popped in?
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's have him on. So, Szymon, I wasn't expecting to see you tonight, but big congratulations on a race 2 victory.
Yeah, thank you. I did not expect to be here at all, but, well, Harry asked me to drive, and I tried the car, and it seemed kind of fun, so I decided to join for this one race.
Yeah, I hope it was worth your time, as you've brought back the memories from last season with some brilliant driving and a good qualification. So I suppose, how did it feel to sort of act as a co-pilot to the championship leader, just like last season?
I didn't plan on being a co-pilot last season.
No.
But today, I was just expecting to be the second man to Victor. Qualifying it looked like we were very dominant, but both me and Victor only did one lap, and our first lap was the fastest lap, so that was surprising. And then in race one, I've been away from R Factor for a bit, and I forgot to turn on auto clutch after the start, so I stalled the car in the pits, and I had to restart it myself, which lost me like 15 seconds. So it was just a comeback fight to get a decent position for the reverse grid, and well, it wasn't the best reverse grid because it was 9th. I would have preferred 6th, obviously, but yeah, we knew we had the pace advantage and the tire preservation advantage, but the incident with Tulin in lap 1 or 2, I think lap 1.
It was lap 1, because I literally said in commentary, all Simon Frank needs to do is stay behind Luca Filin and he could potentially win this race, and then you got way too close to the back of him.
Well, on my screen he lagged back, so I had no time to react.
Yeah, I did notice that later on. Luca was having a bit of trouble with his connection throughout the whole race. That might have been why he dropped out in the end.
Yeah, so that dropped me a couple of positions, which made my job a bit harder, but I guess the battle for the pack and taking the lead, it was kind of fun, yep. And I enjoyed the win, and I am happy I could bring some decent points for Harry's team.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, that's a point, of course, for Harry and MS Performance that have the championship leader. The backup has been a little bit lacking. So yeah, they'll be doing much better now in the constructors. So yeah, they are certainly shining very brightly in their first campaign. So do you wish them well in their future?
I think yeah, I think I would, yes, because I've absolutely nothing against MS Performance. Fantastic team, Ivanov, and Tom Savily as well. I think Tom was a bit unlucky. I think saying he was lacking is going to ensure he never interviews you again, Eoin. Or he's interviewed by you, I should say. But anyway, Simon, I want to say some fantastic moves in both races as well, especially the move on Mike Quinn. That brought back some memories for me of last year as well. So it felt like you'd never been away in some instances, but I hope... if schedule permitting, we do see you back in the car again. If you enjoyed today,
I'm happy I didn't crash with him for once, because I did. I
didn't want to say.
I did have like 3 penalties, because of crashing into him last season. But yeah, I don't know if I'll be back. I mean, this is now the busy time for me. I've got finals coming up, so maybe after May, if there's an opportunity. But yeah, I'll be doing my finals, then I'll be moving to Warsaw. So it'll be a busy couple of months ahead of me. So I'll see.
Yeah, well, best of luck with your education and your move. I hope it goes smoothly.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate your time, Shimon, and we'll hope to see you again whenever you can pop in once more. Suppose we should have Harry Smith in next.
I agree. Let's see what second place in race 1 and 5th in race 2, if I remember correctly. It was a bit hectic towards the end, I have to say.
So welcome on in, Harry. Another job well done for yourself and Netrec. So would you like to describe how it was from behind the wheel?
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I mean, to be honest, I was quite shocked with where we were relative to the field. I mean, I knew we were going to be quick, but I didn't think we would be as quick as we were. That being said, we put in a great effort in testing, and from a team manager's point of view for MS Performance, I want to say thank you to Simon for replacing Tom for this round, because Tom's on holiday, and he did a great job. I think he did more practice than me, so I mean, I think that shows more about me than yeah.
I suppose, yeah, to comment on race 1 a bit more, you were battling with Victor very hard, but it looked like yourself and Amari had an agreement quite early on that you had track position, so you should have the opportunity to push on and finish the job.
I mean, we didn't really have an agreement per se, but we just sort of knew we were on similar pace, so there's no point to risk it to fight and lose time to the guys behind. But we also knew that we knew Victor's pace, so we knew that unless he got caught up, like unless back markers got involved, then we weren't going to beat him. So it was best to just hold position, keep the tires in decent condition, which I struggled with. I mean, you probably thought I went for an undercut in the first race, pitting on lap 10, but I mean, my tires were just dead, so I didn't really have a choice, and then it was nursing them to the end. But I'm very happy with both races today, at least getting a double win for MS and podiums for Netrex. And I think we extend our lead in the championship and the team's championship anyway, so that's all good from our side. Just keep doing more of the same, and hopefully more results like this will come.
I think you pit on the same lap as Victor in race 1, Harry. Lap 10. I think it was Omari that pit 3 laps later than both of you.
No, Victor. I'm pretty sure Victor pitted on lap 13.
Okay. I might have misread it then.
That was what race he was behind the drivers who went long, like Magnussen.
Yeah,
that was it.
And then race 2 was really chaotic towards the end, wasn't it, Harry? Because were obviously you and Omari were sort of biding your time behind Frank coming. I think Frank made a mistake, and then things really kicked off with Taras and Saracino struggling, making mistakes in those final couple of laps. Especially, I think Taras making that mistake right in the final couple of corners of the race, allowing you to sort of slip through. Was that a case of? Because there was a little bit touch and go whether you and Victor would make it through at the end there before he rejoined the track as well.
I mean, race 2, we were just hoping to just stay in the train, conserve our tyres, and if we have chances to go forward, we'll try go forward. But race 2 is equally as important as race 1, because I think it's from either P4 or 5 downwards, the points are the same. So you really need to maximise the points in both races rather than win race 1 and DNF in race 2. So unfortunately, I think, well, I was hoping the guys at the front would fight a bit more, so we'd have a bit more of a chance to catch them. Thankfully, Shimon was able to catch them, but we were a bit unlucky with the roll on 9th place getting reverse grid, because I think if it would have been P6, we would have had even more podiums. And
that's what Simon said as well. He would have preferred it being P6.
Yeah. I do want to say well done to Taras. I know he lost the positions at the end and he could have had a podium, but I mean, he did a good job keeping up and holding the pace quite well, especially considering he's not a main driver in this series. So I just want to say well done to him, basically, as well. So.
And just a very quick final question for you, Harry. The Shanghai circuit returns in 2 weeks. So how do you feel about that track?
I haven't driven Shanghai since 2019, so it's going to be a bit of a case of relearn the track. Suzuka was actually the one track that I did do last year that is early on in the calendar, so I was pleased that, well, it was a bit easier to put in a good performance when you know the track a lot better. But I think Shanghai, I mean, it might be a bit difficult for me because I struggle with the front tyres, but we'll see. It's just about putting the work in and then the results will come. So.
Yeah, well, I wish you all the best with that extra preparation, and we'll see you again very soon, Harry. Take care.
Thank you. Take care.
And we have one last candidate for a chat here, Ed. It's Justin van der Smissen.
Yeah, not quite as good day for him as Saudi, because he was 23rd in race 1 and then failed to finish race 2. But he might have some interesting stories. Let's see what Justin has to say. Seems to always be a curtain ender here. Welcome
in, Justin. Difficult day for you, but I suppose, yeah, is there anything you'd like to describe to us while you have this opportunity?
Yeah, it wasn't really a weekend. David really struggled, especially race 2 when his first feedback was cut out at the moment we went onto the grid. So he drove the second race all without force feedback. Yeah, in the first one we had a bit of a nightmare on the tires. Soft tires degraded after 3 laps, so we had to box really early. Same happened to the hards. Still don't know why exactly. Maybe a bit less management from our side. Yeah, second one was a little bit better. Could have been points, but it yeah. We still need to get the luck to our side. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, race 2, there was that big fight behind Zvilla, wasn't it, that you were in the middle of? And I think there was Clark and Phelan were making their way through, and there was a moment, I think, where Zvilla went off, and I think you were right behind with Clark, and both of you just followed Isaac Clark off the road, if I remember correctly. There was a lot happening in the race, so it's hard for me to remember exactly. But
Yeah, it was the
Might
other
have
way
been
around.
David.
yeah,
It was the other way around. Coming into Spoon,
I think they made the mistake and you got through because of it.
yeah, Isaac made a mistake. I got through, but he had such a better top speed, and he came back on me on the inside of the chicane. Yeah, which I mean you can do, but I mean I want to race smart and not put it in a gap every single corner. Like on a track like this, where you're already in P17 to 18, and you are trying to get closer to the points, it's a lot better to just go past with the DRS and with the on the straights. And the same happened with Crystal Silvers. I mean, I was going around the outside of turn one. I had slipstream and DRS. He kept it on the inside. I mean, it's totally legal to defend your position. Nothing against that. But it just would have made things a lot easier to follow each other with the DRS and the slipstream and going together to the guys ahead of you. But yeah, it's the way it is. I mean, next time China, we can try again.
Yeah, so just a final question. It is very competitive down the bottom half of the championship table for the teams. So yeah, we saw Kings and Pixelate. I think they had a lot of good pace today. So do you
Lots of
think?
right points as well.
Yeah, they got some valuable points as well.
100 to 1 didn't score, but they did finish. So there is a threat from behind potentially for VMS Sun Edits.
Yeah, so I suppose my point is, do you think Shanghai is a track where you can bounce back?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, me and David, we are training a lot together. We know each other really good for a long time as well. So I mean, the chemistry between me and David works really well as well on the setups. Like we both can be driving the same setup and it doesn't feel different for the other one. But I think on setup wise, we might want to try to go the opposite direction as we are going at the moment. Because right now our setups are more based on how we feel with the car and not really about the speed of the car. So maybe we want to do the opposite direction for China, see what we can do there. But we are training and improving every single day, trying to get better, trying to get the points. So yeah, we'll see in China.
Indeed. So thank you very much for your time, Justin, and see you again in the next 2 weeks.
Gotta keep you busy, no?
Yeah.
See you guys.
Awesome. Good luck.
Take care, Justin.
Thanks.
Right, so that concludes another broadcast, Ed. So any closing thoughts?
I was just looking up David DeVry, one of, I think, about 6 to 8 drivers who in the championship who's got a 100% finishing record this season, although no points to his name just yet. But that is pretty solid, though, especially considering how difficult it is to finish some of these races, as 100 to 1 have shown us. That it took so much work to get that race 2 double finish there and just stay out of trouble for both drivers. But hopefully they can build on that in Shanghai. And interesting what Vantus Missum was just telling us there about the tyre wear being an issue, because that turn 1 at Shanghai is absolutely lethal on tyres because it's just a constant radius right-hander, isn't it? So that gets tighter and tighter as you go. So I have a feeling tyre wear could be a running theme this season. But since we haven't been there for a couple of seasons, race 2 in particular will be very interesting, whether hards can actually last the full distance or if the one-stop strategy is the preferred one come Shanghai. Yeah, in terms of the championship, I think Ivanov, he's on sort of a cloud at the moment. As long as he keeps doing all the work in race 1 and recovering as best he can in the sort of top 5, top 6 in race 2, that's really all he needs to do to win this championship. And if he can sneak in a few race 2 wins as well, then all the better. But Mike Quint, I think, is going to take a bit of good luck for him to get in there, and especially was very, very good to see Simon Frelick have that nice battle with him, take that win on the road. Hopefully he gets to keep it. I think Luca Finan have those connection issues. He will be let off for that lap 1 contact. But yeah, otherwise, great teamwork with Netrex, with Harry Smith getting yet another P2, second P2 in a row, I think, and Watson getting a podium in race 2. So they just keep racking up the podiums. I think Teams Championship for Netrex looking very, very good at the moment. Multiforce, definitely a bit of work to do, but Mike Quint bring home the recovery as always. And let's not count out AMS performance, especially if Tom Savley can get his act together, show that, turn that pace into consistent finishes in the higher points table. And I think Ivanov can be backed up, and certainly we could have a three-way fight in the Teams Championship, which would be amazing.
Yeah, it would absolutely.
It also
thrill
felt really
all
bad
of
for
our audience.
Saracino in race 2 there as well, because I felt
Yeah, so
he had a good chance to win that one, and of course Oliver Taras too, who we heard Harry Smith praise as well. I think deservedly so, because Taras certainly has impressed now and again in FS1 before in his cameo drives, and it was good to see him fighting for the win legitimately there. But unfortunately, just coming apart in the final, I think he would have more than earned a 4th place there, but not to be on this occasion. I'm sure we'll see him back though.
Yeah, for sure. But that is our conclusion of the broadcast. Well done, as always, to Ed Hunter for fabulous co-commentary. And Remco van der Zeeuw is in the broadcast liaison. Can I go ahead, yeah? You want to say something?
I was just thanking you for complimenting me.
I apologize for speaking over you there. Yeah, I appreciate that very much, Ed. And indeed, Remco has controlled all the broadcasts and the graphics today, so thank you to him. But for myself, Eoin Harmon, that is a wrap. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks in Shanghai. Bye-bye for now.